The human body, in its stillness and motion, is perhaps one of nature's most remarkable creations. Beneath the calm surface of your skin lies an intricate world, a landscape of tissues, vessels, and cells, each working quietly, ceaselessly, to sustain the miracle of being alive. Every breath, every faint pulse, every soft movement of muscle or whisper of thought arises from this complex unity. Yet the body does not demand our constant attention. It performs its work gently, almost invisibly, holding us in balance as we move through the rhythm of waking and sleeping, eating and resting, growing and healing. Anatomy and physiology are two ways of observing this living harmony. Anatomy reveals the structure, the shapes and forms, the framework of bone and tissue, the elegant geometry of organs nested within one another. Physiology, by contrast, is the study of function, how those parts work, how they communicate, how energy flows through them in endless cycles of renewal. Structure and function are not separate worlds, but partners in an eternal dialogue. What anatomy builds, physiology animates. What physiology sets in motion, anatomy sustains. In learning about the body, we are not so much memorizing its parts as entering a kind of quiet conversation with life itself. Each organ tells a story. The heart, with its steady rhythm, murmurs of endurance. The lungs, expanding and contracting, remind us of life's dependence on exchange. The skin, stretched delicately over all, teaches protection and sensitivity. To study anatomy and physiology is to learn the language of these stories. A language written not in words, but in movement, pressure, and balance. From the outside, we see only the surface, the curve of an arm, the rise of a chest, the arc of a smile. But beneath that surface, layers unfold with exquisite order. The skin gives way to connective tissue, beneath which lie muscles and tendons, nerves and vessels, bones and organs. The organization is not random. It follows a logic both ancient and precise, refined by evolution over millions of years. Even the smallest detail has purpose: the way a joint moves, the direction of a muscle fiber, the placement of a gland. Each contributes to the quiet orchestration that allows a human being to exist. The body, at its most fundamental level, is composed of cells. There are trillions of them, each a self-contained world. Within every cell, microscopic machinery hums with purpose. Tiny powerhouses known as mitochondria convert food into energy. The nucleus shelters strands of DNA, long, coiled molecules that hold the instructions for building and maintaining every structure we are. Around them float the cytoplasm, a soft medium where countless reactions unfold. Through these cellular activities, life maintains its delicate equilibrium. You could imagine each cell as a candle glowing within the vast cathedral of the body, all burning together in the same quiet rhythm. Cells do not work alone. They gather into tissues, communities of similar form and purpose. Tissues join to create organs: the heart, the liver, the brain, each performing specific duties essential to survival. Organs in turn collaborate within larger systems: the respiratory system that brings oxygen, the digestive system that nourishes, the circulatory system that connects every cell with every other. Together they create a living whole, one vast, self-regulating network that never truly rests. Even in deep sleep, the heart continues to beat, the lungs continue to fill, and the brain continues to dream. Every system depends on another. The muscles rely on bones for structure, and bones depend on muscles for movement. The nervous system oversees their coordination, while the endocrine system sends its slow, chemical messages to modulate mood, energy, and growth. Blood travels through vessels, carrying oxygen from the lungs to the tissues, and returning with carbon dioxide to be released. Digestive organs draw nourishment from the food we eat, while the kidneys filter the blood, maintaining its purity and balance. Nothing works in isolation. To disturb one system is to affect them all. This is the essence of physiology, a seamless conversation between parts that together form the quiet unity we call life. Perhaps one of the most beautiful qualities of the human body is its persistence in maintaining harmony. Scientists call this homeostasis, the body's ability to preserve stability amid change. The temperature outside may fall or rise, the light may fade or brighten, food may come or be delayed, yet the body continues its work, adjusting quietly, without complaint. Sweat cools the skin, blood vessels widen or narrow, hormones are released in careful doses, the heart quickens or slows, matching effort with need. All of this happens without our awareness, a choreography of regulation unfolding in silence. Within every breath, there is a reminder of this balance. Oxygen enters the lungs, binds to red blood cells, and is carried through the bloodstream to nourish every tissue. Carbon dioxide, a waste product of metabolism, makes the return journey to the lungs, where it is exhaled into the air. The entire cycle takes only moments, yet it repeats thousands of times each day. We rarely notice it, and yet our lives depend on it. Even in sleep, the pattern continues, slow and steady, as though the body is humming softly to itself, keeping time with the world around it. The heart, too, follows its steady rhythm. 4 chambers, 2 atria, and 2 ventricles fill and empty in precise coordination. The sound we know as the heartbeat is simply the closing of valves, ensuring that blood moves in one direction only. With each contraction, oxygen-rich blood is sent through the arteries, branching into smaller vessels that reach every corner of the body. The return flow travels through veins, carrying the spent blood back toward the lungs to be renewed. This loop is continuous, tireless, and serene. The heart beats more than 3 billion times in an average lifetime, a measure not only of endurance but of constancy. The body's design is deeply efficient, but it is also artful. The curves of bones, the layering of muscles, the branching of vessels, all follow patterns that are as graceful as they are functional. The lungs, for example, contain millions of tiny air sacs called alveoli, each surrounded by capillaries. Together they provide a surface area large enough to fill an entire tennis court, all contained within the space of the chest. The small intestine, when unfolded, stretches several meters long, coiled neatly to fit within the abdomen. The body, it seems, wastes nothing, not space, not energy, not motion, and yet, for all its complexity, the body is fragile. A single imbalance in temperature, nutrition, or chemistry can disturb the whole. Still, it possesses an extraordinary ability to repair itself. Cells divide to replace the damaged or the old. Tissues mend after injury. Bones knit themselves back together. Even the brain, once thought incapable of renewal, continues to form new connections throughout life. This regenerative capacity, slow but sure, is another whisper of the body's quiet resilience. The study of anatomy and physiology invites us to see ourselves not as fixed structures, but as dynamic systems of exchange, energy flowing in, energy flowing out, matter constantly renewed. It teaches patience and reverence, for within every person lies a miniature cosmos, oceans of fluid, forests of branching vessels, networks of light and thought. In understanding the body, we come to appreciate how profoundly interwoven we are with the natural world. The same elements that compose the stars, carbon, nitrogen, oxygen, also make up our bones and blood. The same forces that shape the tides influence the rhythms of our hearts. As this calm exploration begins, let the awareness of your own body settle quietly into your thoughts. Feel the gentle weight of your breathing, the soft pull of gravity through your muscles, the steady pulse beneath your skin. All of these are the language of life, silent, precise, and ancient. The human body, in its graceful cooperation of countless parts, is not merely a machine but a living poem, written in motion and maintained in stillness. It endures, it adapts, and above all, it continues the softest symphony of all. 2. The organization of life. From the smallest atom to the living human form, the body is arranged with a quiet precision that feels almost mathematical, yet deeply organic. Nothing exists without purpose, and every structure, no matter how small, plays its part in the harmonious operation of life. The organization of the human body is a story of scale, a continuous unfolding from the invisible to the tangible, from the molecular to the complete organism. It is this hierarchy, this layered architecture, that makes the study of anatomy and physiology so endlessly fascinating. Each level of organization reveals a different layer of understanding, and together they form the foundation of what it means to be alive. The story begins at the atomic level. Atoms are the simplest building blocks of matter, composed of protons, neutrons, and electrons. These tiny particles, invisible to the eye, form the elements that make up all physical things. In the human body, a handful of these elements dominate oxygen, carbon, hydrogen, nitrogen, calcium, and phosphorus, though many others appear in trace amounts, each one contributing its subtle influence. Oxygen allows respiration. Carbon forms the backbone of organic molecules. Hydrogen bonds water together. Nitrogen builds proteins. Calcium strengthens bones. And phosphorus forms the energy currency of cells. Every beat of your heart, every thought, every breath is a quiet collaboration between these elements, arranged and rearranged in endless combinations. When atoms join, they create molecules. These molecules are the first whispers of life's architecture: water, proteins, lipids, carbohydrates, and nucleic acids. Water is perhaps the most essential, serving as the medium in which all cellular reactions occur. It cushions, dissolves, transports, and regulates. Proteins, formed from long chains of amino acids, are the working tools of the body, shaping tissues and carrying out nearly every chemical task. Lipids, or fats, create cell membranes and store energy for times of need. Carbohydrates provide quick energy, while nucleic acids, like DNA and RNA, store and transmit genetic information. Together, these molecules form the living chemistry that defines the next level of organization, the cell. A cell is often called the fundamental unit of life, and for good reason. Every living organism, from the simplest bacteria to the most complex human being, is built from cells. Some exist as single cells, living entire lives alone, while others, like those within your body, work in vast communities, numbering in the trillions. Each cell, though microscopic, is a universe of activity. A thin membrane surrounds it, carefully regulating what enters and what leaves. Within this boundary lies cytoplasm, a soft, fluid environment that houses specialized structures known as organelles. The nucleus, the cell's control center, contains DNA, the instructions for building and maintaining life. Nearby, the mitochondria act as power plants, converting nutrients into usable energy. The endoplasmic reticulum folds and transports proteins, while the Golgi apparatus packages them for delivery. Lysosomes digest waste. Ribosomes build new proteins. It is an intricate, self-sustaining ecosystem, small yet complete, and when billions of such units join together, they form the tissues of the body. Tissues are groups of similar cells that perform a shared function. There are 4 primary types, and together they create all the forms and textures of the body. Epithelial tissue covers and lines surfaces, forming the skin and the inner linings of organs. It serves as both protection and interface, separating internal and external environments. Connective tissue binds structures together, providing support and strength from the loose mesh of fibers and soft tissues to the hardened mineral framework of bone. Muscle tissue brings motion, contracting and relaxing in a rhythm that powers movement, heartbeat, and even the passage of food through the digestive tract. Finally, nervous tissue transmits information, linking every part of the body through a network of electrical communication. Each type has its own quiet purpose, yet none exists in isolation. They blend and cooperate, forming the organs that define the next level of life's hierarchy. An organ is a structure composed of two or more tissue types, working together for a common purpose. The heart, for instance, contains muscle tissue for contraction, connective tissue for support, and nervous tissue for coordination. The skin combines epithelial tissue on the surface with connective tissue beneath, creating both barrier and sensation. The stomach, the lungs, the liver, and the brain are all examples of organs, each one performing its specialized duty with remarkable precision. Organs do not act as isolated units. They are participants in greater networks, the organ systems. Organ systems are the great collaborators of the human body. Each one carries out a specific set of functions essential to survival, yet all depend on one another for balance. The skeletal system provides the structure that supports the body and protects its organs. The muscular system attaches to this framework, generating motion and maintaining posture. The nervous system oversees communication, processing signals, and initiating responses. The endocrine system adds another layer of regulation, sending chemical messages through hormones that influence growth, metabolism, and mood. The cardiovascular system carries blood, the liquid bridge that connects every cell, delivering oxygen and nutrients while removing waste. The respiratory system ensures that oxygen enters and carbon dioxide leaves. The digestive system transforms food into usable energy, while the urinary system filters and purifies the blood, maintaining chemical equilibrium. The lymphatic system returns fluids to circulation and supports immune defense. And the integumentary system, consisting of the skin, hair, and nails, guards the body's outer surface. Finally, the reproductive system ensures the continuation of the species, connecting each human life to those that came before and those yet to come. Though we describe these systems separately, the truth is that they exist only in relationship. The boundaries we draw are for understanding, not reality. The heart cannot beat without oxygen from the lungs. The lungs cannot function without the rhythmic assistance of the muscles. The muscles cannot move without signals from the nervous system. Every process, every adjustment, every response is part of a living feedback loop. The body is not a collection of separate mechanisms, but a community of constant cooperation. It is, in every sense, an ecosystem, one that sustains itself through endless, minute negotiations of energy and matter. At the top of this hierarchy stands the organism, a complete, self-regulating individual capable of maintaining internal stability despite external change. This is the essence of homeostasis, the body's silent pursuit of equilibrium. When the temperature outside drops, blood vessels constrict and muscles shiver to produce warmth. When the temperature rises, sweat glands activate to cool the skin. If blood sugar falls, the pancreas releases hormones to restore it. These adjustments are continuous, moment by moment, maintaining the narrow conditions in which life can endure. The organism, in its wholeness, is both the sum of its parts and something more, a consciousness, a being aware of its own existence. The organization of life extends beyond the body as well. Each individual is part of a population, a group of similar organisms sharing an environment. Populations interact to form communities, which in turn exist within ecosystems. living networks that include both the biological and the physical, the seen and the unseen. In this sense, the human body mirrors the world it inhabits. Just as cells depend on tissues and tissues on organs, we depend on one another and on the environment that sustains us. The patterns repeat, scaling outward from the microscopic to the planetary. When we pause to consider this organization, a sense of calm wonder arises. Life is not chaotic. It is structured, layered, deliberate. It has rhythm and proportion. The same logic that governs a single cell also governs the whole body, and even the natural world around it. To study anatomy and physiology is to glimpse this hidden order, to see that everything, from the smallest molecule to the grandest form, moves in harmony. The organization of life is not static. It is dynamic, flowing like a river that never stands still yet always remains itself. Cells are constantly replaced, tissues repaired, molecules exchanged. Every 7 to 10 years, most of the atoms in your body have been replaced, yet you remain a continuity, not of material, but of pattern. The body endures because it is organized to change, to adapt, to renew. In the quiet of this understanding, you might imagine your own body as a great city at nightlights glowing in each cell, networks humming, roads of vessels carrying life from one district to another. Though unseen, the order persists. It is ancient, precise, and alive. The organization of life is, in its simplest truth, the structure of being itself, intricate, balanced, and endlessly serene. 3. The chemistry of life. Beneath every heartbeat, every breath, every quiet thought that drifts through the mind, there is chemistry at work. The body, though alive and self-aware, is ultimately a vast collection of chemical reactions, billions occurring each second, silent and unseen, yet perfectly coordinated. Each molecule within you moves according to laws that have governed matter since the beginning of time. These same laws that form stars and shape oceans also guide the chemistry that sustains life. It is in this chemistry that anatomy and physiology find their foundation. For without chemical reactions, there could be no movement, no repair, no growth, and no consciousness. The chemistry of life is not a noisy process. It hums softly in the background, as constant and delicate as the rhythm of breathing and sleep. At the simplest level, life's chemistry begins with elements, the pure substances from which all matter is built. Of the more than 100 elements known to science, only a few are needed to create the human body. Oxygen, carbon, hydrogen, and nitrogen together make up almost all of our mass. Calcium strengthens bones and teeth. Phosphorus forms the backbone of DNA and the energy molecule ATP, while potassium, sodium, and chlorine regulate the electrical impulses that allow muscles to move and nerves to fire. Trace elements like iron, zinc, and iodine exist in far smaller amounts, yet their roles are critical. Iron carries oxygen in the blood, zinc supports enzymes that drive cellular reactions, and iodine allows the thyroid gland to maintain metabolism. Each of these elements behaves according to the same physical rules, yet when combined within the body, they give rise to something far more complex, the phenomenon of life. When atoms bond, they form molecules, the building blocks of all biological structures. In the human body, these molecules fall into a few familiar categories: water, carbohydrates, lipids, proteins, and nucleic acids. Of these, water is by far the most abundant. It fills every cell, cushions every organ, and flows through the blood as a universal solvent, carrying nutrients, hormones, and waste. About 60% of an adult body is water, and every biochemical reaction depends on it. Water is unique in its properties. Its molecules attract each other through hydrogen bonds, giving it surface tension and the ability to absorb heat without changing temperature quickly. This simple characteristic allows the body to resist sudden changes in warmth, maintaining internal balance even as the environment shifts. Water is also a gentle medium of transport. It allows ions like sodium and potassium to move freely, enabling nerve signals and muscle contractions. Without water, the body's chemistry would fall silent, and life itself would fade away. Carbohydrates are another key group of molecules. They serve as the body's most immediate source of energy. Simple sugars such as glucose circulate in the blood, ready to fuel cells that need power. When energy is required, enzymes break down glucose through a process called cellular respiration, releasing energy in small, controlled steps. This energy is captured in molecules of adenosine triphosphate, or ATP, a compound that acts as the universal energy currency of the cell. In this way, carbohydrates sustain motion, thought, and warmth. The body stores excess sugar as glycogen in the liver and muscles, drawing on these reserves when food is scarce or effort is high. Every heartbeat, every blink of an eye, draws on the chemical energy that carbohydrates so patiently provide. Lipids, or fats, offer a different kind of nourishment. While carbohydrates provide quick bursts of energy, lipids store it for the long term. A single gram of fat holds more than twice as much energy as a gram of carbohydrate. Beyond storage, lipids form the membranes that surround every cell, creating a flexible barrier between the inner and outer environments. These membranes, built from phospholipids, arrange themselves in double layers, hydrophilic heads facing outward toward water, and hydrophobic tails tucked safely inside. This simple yet elegant arrangement allows cells to maintain their identity while still interacting with the world around them. Lipids also serve as insulation, cushioning delicate organs and helping regulate body temperature. Some act as messengers, forming hormones like estrogen and testosterone that influence growth, mood, and reproduction. In all their forms, lipids represent stability, stored energy, waiting quietly for its moment to serve. Proteins, however, are the true workhorses of the body's chemistry. They are composed of smaller units called amino acids, joined together in long, folded chains. The sequence and shape of these chains determine the protein's role, whether it be structural, functional, or regulatory. Collagen provides strength to skin and bone, keratin forms hair and nails, and hemoglobin carries oxygen through the blood. Enzymes, another class of proteins, act as catalysts, substances that speed up chemical reactions without being consumed. They are the quiet accelerators of life, ensuring that complex processes occur at the precise rate needed for survival. Without enzymes, digestion, growth, and repair would happen far too slowly to sustain us. The beauty of protein chemistry lies in its versatility. A limited set of 20 amino acids, arranged in different ways, creates the astonishing diversity of proteins that make life possible. Nucleic acids complete the molecular foundation of life. They are the carriers of genetic information, the long spiraling codes that determine how cells grow, divide, and function. The most famous of these molecules is DNA, or deoxyribonucleic acid. It stores instructions in the sequence of its 4 bases: adenine, thymine, cytosine. These bases pair in a specific way, forming the double helix that defines the molecule's graceful shape. When a cell divides, DNA replicates itself, ensuring that each new cell inherits the same blueprint. RNA, a related molecule, acts as the messenger translating DNA's instructions into proteins, the structures and enzymes that bring those instructions to life. Through this flow of information from DNA to RNA to protein, life maintains continuity, adapting gently across generations. All of these molecules interact within the controlled environment of the cell. The cell's chemistry is one of balance and cooperation. Reactions occur in orderly sequences, each one feeding into the next. The process of metabolism, for example, encompasses both anabolism, the building of complex molecules from simpler ones, and catabolism, the breaking down of molecules to release energy. These two processes are in constant dialogue, building and breaking, assembling and disassembling, ensuring that the body's needs are met without excess or waste. When energy is required, molecules like glucose are oxidized, releasing energy stored in their chemical bonds. That energy is then captured by ATP, which can be transported and used anywhere in the cell. When energy is abundant, the body stores it, setting aside reserves for leaner times. It is a perfect economy, efficient, steady, and precise. This balance is not only internal, but also environmental. The chemistry of life depends on narrow ranges of temperature, pH, and concentration. Too much heat or acid can alter the shape of proteins, disrupting their function. The body guards against such shifts through constant adjustment. Buffers in the blood prevent drastic changes in pH. The lungs and kidneys regulate levels of carbon dioxide and hydrogen ions, ensuring that acidity remains stable. Through these quiet acts of chemical control, the body maintains a safe space for life's reactions to continue unhindered. At times, it is easy to forget that every thought or feeling arises from chemistry. The neurotransmitters that cross the gaps between neurons, dopamine, serotonin, acetylcholine, are simply molecules. Yet from their movement comes the experience of joy, memory, and awareness. Hormones, too, like cortisol and insulin, are nothing more than chemical messengers, yet they govern emotions, metabolism, and even the cycles of sleep and wakefulness. The chemistry of life, though invisible, is profoundly intimate. It shapes not only our physical being, but our mental and emotional states as well. When viewed with quiet awe, this web of reactions feels less like machinery and more like music. Each atom vibrates at its own frequency. Each bond forms and breaks in rhythm, and together they create a continuous harmony, a molecular symphony that has played without pause since the first spark of life appeared on Earth. In every heartbeat, every sigh, every whisper of thought, this music continues, steady and serene. The chemistry of life reminds us that we are part of something timeless. The same carbon atoms in our bodies once drifted through stars. The oxygen we breathe has cycled through oceans and forests for millions of years. The water in our blood may have quenched the thirst of ancient creatures long vanished. Life's chemistry does not begin or end with us. It flows through us, joining the endless cycle of matter and energy that defines the universe. And so, when we speak of the chemistry of life, we are speaking of connection, of the quiet, unbroken link between the smallest molecule and the vastness of existence itself. 4. The cell vertical bar, the body's smallest unit. Within the quiet interior of every living body, beyond the reach of sight, lies an entire universe of activity. It is a world so small that millions of its inhabitants could rest on the head of a pin, and yet within each one exists the complete machinery of life. This is the cell, the smallest unit of structure and function in all living things. From the simplest bacterium drifting in water to the intricate tissues of the human body, every form of life depends on cells. They are the architects, the builders, the workers, and the caretakers of the living world. In their constant motion, in their gentle exchange of energy and matter, they embody the essence of what it means to be alive. A cell may seem impossibly small, but it is an extraordinarily organized environment. It is bounded by a thin, flexible layer called the plasma membrane, a delicate barrier that separates the inner world from the outer one. This membrane is made of a double layer of phospholipids, arranged so that their water-loving heads face outward and their water-fearing tails point inward. Embedded within this layer are proteins, each with a purpose. Some act as gates, allowing certain substances to pass through. Others serve as receptors, detecting signals from outside. Still others anchor the cell to its neighbors. Through this boundary, the cell maintains control over what enters and what leaves. It is selective and balanced, keeping the inner conditions just right for life's chemistry to continue. Inside, the membrane lies the cytoplasm, a soft, fluid space filled with a gentle hum of movement. Within it float the cell's organelles, tiny specialized structures each performing essential tasks. They drift and interact as though following a silent choreography, their cooperation sustaining the life of the cell. Among these organelles, one stands at the center, the nucleus. Surrounded by a double membrane of its own, the nucleus holds the cell's genetic material, its DNA, coiled and compacted into chromosomes. These long molecules contain the instructions for every structure and function the body will ever need. It is here, in this tiny repository of information, that the pattern of life is preserved and passed on. The nucleus acts as both library and command center, reading genetic instructions and sending out the messages that guide the cell's daily work. Just outside the nucleus, the endoplasmic reticulum stretches through the cytoplasm like a network of soft tunnels. Part of it, known as the rough endoplasmic reticulum, is studded with ribosomes, small, round particles where proteins are built. These ribosomes read genetic messages and assemble chains of amino acids, which will later fold into the countless proteins the cell depends on. Some of these proteins remain inside the cell. Others are destined for export. Nearby, the smooth endoplasmic reticulum performs different duties, synthesizing lipids, storing calcium, and detoxifying substances that might harm the cell. Together, the two forms of endoplasmic reticulum create and refine the cell's raw materials, ensuring that nothing essential is missing. From there, many newly made molecules travel to the Golgi apparatus, a stack of flattened sacks, often compared to a postal center. Here, the proteins and lipids produced by the endoplasmic reticulum are modified, packaged, and sorted for delivery. Tiny vesicles bud off from its surface, carrying their cargo to destinations inside or outside the cell. Some will become part of the plasma membrane. Others will leave the cell entirely, carrying signals or enzymes to other tissues. The Golgi apparatus ensures that every product reaches its proper place, maintaining a quiet precision that mirrors the organization of the body as a whole. Powering all of these activities are the mitochondria, often described as the cell's power plants. Within their folded inner membranes, chemical reactions convert nutrients, mainly glucose and oxygen, into adenosine triphosphate, or ATP, the energy currency of life. This process, called cellular respiration, is constant and unrelenting. Every muscle contraction, every nerve impulse, every thought depends on the steady production of ATP within these tiny organelles. Mitochondria have their own small set of DNA, a faint echo of an ancient time when they may have existed as independent organisms. Long ago, scientists believe they were captured within larger cells and became permanent partners, an alliance so successful that it continues in every living human cell today. Scattered through the cytoplasm are other structures, each with their own quiet responsibilities. Lysosomes contain digestive enzymes capable of breaking down worn-out organelles, damaged molecules, or invading microbes. They act as the cell's waste disposal system, ensuring that no harmful material accumulates. Peroxisomes help neutralize toxins and break down fatty acids. The cytoskeleton, a network of protein filaments and tubules, provides shape and movement. It holds the cell in place, allows it to divide, and guides the transport of materials within. Microtubules, actin filaments, and intermediate fibers weave through the cytoplasm, forming a flexible scaffold that gives the cell both structure and adaptability. Despite their uniform purpose, cells come in remarkable diversity. The human body contains more than 200 different types, each adapted to its own function. Nerve cells stretch long and slender, their projections carrying signals over great distances. Muscle cells are filled with fibers that contract, creating motion. Blood cells drift freely, carrying oxygen or defending against infection. Epithelial cells form protective layers, while bone cells deposit minerals to build strength. Yet whether they beat rhythmically in the heart or transmit thoughts in the brain, all cells share the same underlying plan, the same membrane, cytoplasm, and DNA. This unity amid variety is one of life's quiet wonders. Cells are not immortal, but they are persistent. They divide, grow, and die in carefully timed cycles. Through mitosis, one cell becomes two, each with a complete copy of DNA. This process allows tissues to grow, wounds to heal, and old cells to be replaced by new ones. In more specialized situations, certain cells undergo meiosis, a different form of division that produces reproductive cells, or gametes, with half the normal number of chromosomes. When sperm and egg unite, they restore the full complement of DNA, continuing the cycle of life from generation to generation. These microscopic events, though unseen, link every living creature to its ancestors, forming an unbroken chain that stretches back billions of years. The coordination of all these cellular processes is an act of remarkable balance. Nutrients must enter at the right time. Waste must be removed. DNA must be copied accurately. Proteins must fold correctly. If even one small process falters, the harmony of the cell can be disturbed. Yet the system is resilient. It corrects its mistakes, repairs damage, and adapts to change. The cell's quiet intelligence, not conscious thought, but the result of intricate chemical feedback, allows it to maintain stability in a world of constant motion. The relationship between structure and function becomes beautifully clear at the cellular level. The shape of a cell reveals its purpose. The flattened layers of skin cells form a barrier. The branching dendrites of neurons gather information. The rounded red blood cell, flexible and smooth, slides easily through narrow vessels. Nothing in the cell's design is random. Every curve, every fold, every pattern serves a role in maintaining life. To appreciate the cell fully is to recognize that it represents both simplicity and complexity in perfect union. It is small enough to escape the naked eye, yet within it are countless interactions, each governed by universal laws. When you think, move, or rest, the activity of your cells never stops. They communicate through chemical signals, share energy, and respond to their environment with exquisite sensitivity. In every moment of stillness, your body's cells are in motion, building, transforming, repairing. If one were to imagine the interior of a single cell, it might resemble a city at twilight. The membrane forms its walls, semi-transparent and alive with movement. Within, streams of molecules glide through the cytoplasm like travelers along softly lit streets. The mitochondria flicker like lanterns, releasing bursts of energy. The nucleus glows quietly at the center, its spiraling strands of DNA containing the memory of all that came before and the instructions for all that will come after. It is a city without sound, operating in perfect synchrony, never sleeping, never still. In studying cells, we learn something profound about the continuity of life. Every structure in your body, bones, skin, blood, and organs, is built from these same units. And every one of them began as a single fertilized cell. From that first division came 2, then 4, then 8, until an entire human being took shape, guided by information written in molecular code. The same processes continue today in quiet repetition, renewing and sustaining you from within. The cell is not merely the smallest unit of the body, it is the foundation of existence. It is where the invisible becomes tangible, where chemistry becomes biology, and where life, in all its complexity, finds its simplest expression. To understand the cell is to glimpse the miracle of being an intricate harmony of molecules, energy, and time, unfolding endlessly and without pause within the stillness of your own body. 5. Tissues, vertical bar, the weave of the body. When we look at the human body as a whole, it may seem like a single, unified form, solid, complete, and continuous. Yet beneath the surface lies a remarkable pattern of organization, one that depends on an elegant combination of simplicity and complexity. This pattern is the body's fabric, its living weave, composed of countless cells joined together in harmony. When cells with similar form and function unite, they create tissues, the next level of structure in the hierarchy of life. Each tissue is a community, a collective devoted to a particular purpose, working quietly and without interruption to support the greater organism. Though we rarely notice them, tissues form the texture of our being, the strength of bone, the flexibility of muscle, the smoothness of skin, and the delicate pathways of nerves. Every tissue begins with the same fundamental material, the cell. Yet depending on how these cells are arranged, how tightly they cling to one another, and how they communicate, they take on vastly different roles. Some spread in thin protective sheets, others form strong fibers or contractile bundles, and still others branch into intricate networks that transmit messages. The body recognizes 4 basic kinds of tissue: epithelial, connective, muscle, and nervous, each with its own quiet rhythm, each vital to the preservation of life's balance. Together they form a soft architecture, more complex than any structure ever built by human hands. Epithelial tissue is the body's first line of connection with the outside world. It forms the surface of the skin, lines the inner passages of the digestive tract, the lungs, and blood vessels, and covers the organs deep within. It is the body's wrapping, protective yet sensitive, resilient yet thin. The cells of epithelial tissue are packed closely together, forming smooth, continuous layers. Some of these layers are a single cell, thick, delicate enough to allow substances to pass through, while others are multiple layers deep, providing durability and protection. In the skin, this tissue prevents water loss and shields against microbes. In the lungs, it allows oxygen and carbon dioxide to diffuse easily. In the intestines, it absorbs nutrients, sending them into the bloodstream with silent precision. Each type of epithelial tissue is shaped perfectly for its role, whether it needs to stretch, secrete, or exchange. Tiny hair-like projections called cilia sweep away debris, while small glands embedded within secrete mucus or enzymes. It is a surface alive with activity, though it appears still from the outside. Just beneath the epithelium lies the connective tissue, the body's structural framework. If epithelial tissue forms the covering, connective tissue is the scaffolding beneath it, the unseen support that holds everything in place. It fills the spaces between organs, binds structures together, and gives the body its strength and elasticity. Unlike the tightly packed cells of epithelial tissue, connective tissue has fewer cells and more extracellular material, a matrix of fibers and ground substance that defines its character. Within this matrix are proteins like collagen, which provides strength, and elastin, which allows flexibility. The ground substance, often gel-like, cushions and nourishes surrounding cells. Connective tissue exists in many forms: tendons and ligaments, dense with parallel fibers that anchor muscle to bone; adipose tissue, soft and energy-rich, storing fat beneath the skin; smooth and firm, cushioning joints; and bone, the most rigid of all, a living mineral structure that supports the body and protects its delicate organs. Even blood, though fluid and ever-moving, is a form of connective tissue, linking every cell to every other in the endless circulation of life. Muscle tissue is the engine of motion. It transforms chemical energy into mechanical energy, allowing movement both great and small. Within its fibers, countless molecular interactions occur every second, the sliding of proteins called actin and myosin past one another, producing the contractions that power every heartbeat, every breath, and every gentle motion of the limbs. There are three main varieties of muscle tissue, each with its own texture and tempo. Skeletal muscle, which attaches to bones, allows voluntary movement, walking, speaking, lifting, and smiling. Its long, striated fibers contract in response to signals from the nervous system, precise and coordinated. Smooth muscle, found in the walls of internal organs such as the stomach, intestines, and blood vessels, works involuntarily, guiding the slow passage of food, the steady constriction of arteries, the rhythmic motion of digestion. Cardiac muscle, found only in the heart, beats with unending regularity, its fibers interconnected in a branching network that allows impulses to travel swiftly and evenly. Together, these three types of muscle tissue maintain the body's fluid grace motion, woven seamlessly into structure. The fourth and final type of tissue is nervous tissue, the communication network of the body. It carries signals, stores information, and interprets the world. Nervous tissue is composed mainly of neurons, the specialized cells that transmit electrical impulses, and glial cells, which support and protect them. Each neuron is shaped like a tree, with branching dendrites that receive messages and a long axon that sends them onward. When one neuron fires, the signal travels along its length, crosses a tiny gap called a synapse, and continues to the next. Through these connections, billions of neurons form a vast, living circuit, the foundation of thought, sensation, and movement. The brain and spinal cord serve as the central core of this network, processing signals and coordinating responses, while peripheral nerves extend outward, reaching every organ and tissue. It is this quiet electrical dialogue that allows a hand to feel warmth, a heart to adjust its rhythm, or the mind to drift into dreams. Although these four tissue types differ greatly in appearance and function, they are inseparable in purpose. They work together in every organ, every limb, and every living process. The heart, for instance, is not simply muscle. It contains connective tissue that gives it shape, epithelial tissue that lines its chambers, and nervous tissue that regulates its rhythm. The stomach combines smooth muscle for motion, glands of epithelium for secretion, a tissue to hold it all in place. Even the skin, seemingly simple, is a complex mosaic, an outer layer of epithelium, a middle layer of connective tissue filled with blood vessels, nerves, and glands, and deeper still, a layer of adipose tissue that cushions and insulates. No single tissue acts alone. Their cooperation creates the symphony of form and function that defines the human body. The organization of tissues also allows the body to repair itself. When injury occurs, cells near the damaged area sense the disturbance and begin to respond. In connective tissue, fibroblasts produce new fibers to mend torn areas. In epithelial layers, new cells divide and migrate to close wounds. Muscle tissue, though less capable of regeneration, can still adapt by enlarging existing fibers. Even nervous tissue, long believed to be unchangeable, has shown the ability to form new connections, adjusting and rewiring itself to compensate for loss. Healing is a slow, deliberate act, a cellular conversation in which damaged tissues whisper for help and their neighbors respond in kind. It is a reminder that within the body's stillness, life is always in motion, always tending toward balance and renewal. When we study tissues, we glimpse a hidden artistry. Their arrangement is both functional and beautiful, a living tapestry woven from countless threads of cell and fiber. The transparency of epithelial layers, the shimmer of muscle under light, the intricate branching of nerve fibers, all reveal a natural design, both purposeful and serene. Even under a microscope, tissues possess an elegance that seems more like art than anatomy. The colors and patterns that scientists use to stain and view them reveal a landscape that feels almost cosmic, as though looking into a distant nebula of form and function. To think of tissues is to think of unity, of many working as one. In them, individuality dissolves into cooperation. Each cell performs its part without awareness, yet the result is an organism capable of feeling, thinking, and creating. The tissues of the body remind us that strength lies not in isolation, but in connection, not in rigidity, but in flexibility. Like woven fabric, they are soft yet enduring, capable of withstanding the stresses of life, while maintaining grace and order. If one were to imagine the body as a quiet cathedral, the tissues would be its stone and mortar, the material through which the design takes shape. They are the foundation on which organs stand, the medium through which energy flows, and the bridge between the invisible chemistry of the cell and the visible anatomy of the body. In every breath, every heartbeat, every gentle movement, they hold the form of life together, strong yet supple, simple yet profound. The weave of the body is not static. It shifts and renews, changing with age, activity, and environment. Cells are replaced, fibers are repaired, and patterns subtly adjust, yet the overall design remains a steady balance of structure and softness, permanence and change. The tissues of the body, like threads in an endless fabric, are part of a pattern that began long before we were born and continues quietly within us, binding every cell into the living whole that is the human form. 6. The skeletal system, vertical bar framework of strength. Deep within the human body lies a structure, both silent and strong, a framework upon which every motion, every posture, and every breath depends. This is the skeletal system, the foundation of our physical being, the architecture that gives shape to the living body. Though it rests quietly beneath layers of muscle and tissue, its influence extends to every aspect of life. It is the hidden scaffolding that supports movement, protects delicate organs, and even creates the very blood that flows through our veins. Without the skeleton's patient strength, the body would be little more than a soft collection of tissue, unable to stand, to walk, or to hold form. The human skeleton is a masterpiece of natural engineering, balancing rigidity and flexibility in perfect measure. It is composed of 206 bones, each uniquely shaped, each serving a precise purpose. Together they form a framework that is both sturdy and light, resilient yet dynamic. The skeleton is not a static structure. It is alive, continually growing, repairing, and reshaping itself in response to the forces that act upon it. From the smallest bones in the ear that conduct the faintest vibrations of sound, to the long, weight-bearing bones of the legs that carry us through the world, every piece contributes to the harmony of movement and form. Bone, at its essence, is a living tissue. Though it appears hard and lifeless, it is filled with activity. Within its matrix of mineral and protein, cells are constantly working, some building new bone, others breaking down the old, maintaining a balance that allows the skeleton to stay strong throughout life. The outer surface of a bone is smooth and compact, giving it strength, while the interior is a honeycomb of spongy tissue that lightens the overall weight without sacrificing resilience. Running through these layers are blood vessels and nerves, delivering nourishment and sensation. At the very core of many bones lies the bone marrow, a soft, reddish substance that produces red blood cells, white blood cells, and platelets, the elements of blood itself. Thus, even in its stillness, the skeleton is a source of vitality. The body's bones can be grouped into two major divisions, the axial skeleton and the appendicular skeleton. The axial skeleton forms the central column, consisting of the skull, vertebral column, ribs, and sternum. It supports and protects the vital organs, the brain, the heart, and the lungs, while maintaining the upright posture that defines our species. The appendicular skeleton, by contrast, includes the limbs and the girdles that attach them to the central core, the shoulder blades and pelvis. These bones provide mobility and interaction with the world, transforming stillness into graceful motion. Together, these two divisions embody both stability and movement, the twin qualities of the human form. At the top of the framework rests the skull, a structure of remarkable precision. It shields the brain, perhaps the body's most delicate organ, within a smooth, rounded case of bone. The skull is composed of several fused plates that meet along faint seams called sutures. These sutures allow the skull to expand during early life and later form immovable joints that provide protection without weakness. The face, too, is part of this architecture. The jaw enables speech and chewing, the orbits cradle the eyes, and the nasal cavity filters the air we breathe. Each curve and ridge is shaped not only for function but also for expression. The human face, with its subtle capacity for emotion, is an extension of this intricate bone design. Below the skull extends the vertebral column, the spine, a marvel of balance and strength. Composed of 33 individual vertebrae stacked one upon another, it is flexible enough to bend and twist, yet strong enough to bear the body's weight. Between each vertebra lies a cushion of cartilage known as an intervertebral disc, which absorbs shock and allows smooth movement. Within the hollow center of the spine runs the spinal cord, a delicate highway of nerves linking the brain to the rest of the body. The vertebrae encase it in protective bone, a living shield that bends and turns but never breaks its duty of care. The natural curves of the spine, cervical, thoracic, lumbar, sacral, and coccygeal, distribute weight and maintain balance, enabling the body to stand upright with effortless grace. Branching from the spine are the ribs, forming a cage that shelters the heart and lungs. 12 pairs arch around the chest, their flexible ends joining to the sternum in front. This cage expands and contracts with each breath, the bones rising and falling like the gentle rhythm of waves. The sternum, or breastbone, serves as the anchor at the center of this motion, connecting the ribs and providing attachment for the muscles of the chest and shoulders. Within this protective enclosure, life continues unceasingly. The lungs fill with air, the heart beats in quiet rhythm, and the organs move in their fluid dance. Extending outward from the central skeleton, the limbs give the body its freedom of movement. The upper limbs, arms, wrists, and hands begin at the shoulder girdle, where the collarbone and scapula form a flexible base. The humerus of the upper arm connects to the radius and ulna of the forearm, forming joints capable of rotation and precision. The hand, with its small and agile bones, is one of evolution's finest achievements, a structure capable of strength and delicacy alike. Through the coordination of its 27 bones, the hand can grip, create, and express. It is the instrument of art and work, guided by both will and instinct. The lower limbs mirror this design with strength as their defining feature. The pelvic girdle anchors them, providing stability and supporting the weight of the upper body. The femur, the longest and strongest bone, connects to the pelvis at a deep socket, allowing powerful motion in multiple directions. Below it, the tibia and fibula form the leg, ending at the ankle, where the bones of the foot distribute weight with remarkable precision. The arch of the foot, composed of small, tightly bound bones, acts as both spring and support, absorbing impact as we walk and run. Every step is a conversation between balance and force, guided by the silent cooperation of bone, joint, and muscle. Joints are where bones meet, and through them, the skeleton gains motion. Some joints, like those of the skull, are immovable, serving purely protective roles. Others, such as the shoulder or hip, allow a wide range of motion, while the hinge joints of the elbows and knees permit flexion and extension with strength and precision. Each joint is cushioned by cartilage and lubricated by synovial fluid, reducing friction and wear. Ligaments, strong bands of connective tissue, bind bones together, while tendons attach muscle to bone, transmitting the force that produces movement. In their combined effort, bones act as levers, muscles as motors, and joints as pivots, transforming chemical energy into the physical poetry of motion. The skeleton is often seen as a symbol of stillness, a reminder of what remains after life has passed. But in truth, it is one of the most active systems in the living body. Bone cells, known as osteoblasts and osteoclasts, are in constant communication, reshaping the architecture according to the demands placed upon it. When a bone bears weight or experiences strain, it grows stronger. When it is unused, it slowly thins. Even the minerals within it, calcium and phosphorus, are exchanged regularly with the bloodstream, keeping both bone and body in balance. This continuous remodeling allows the skeleton to adapt to its environment, to heal from injury, and to endure for a lifetime. The relationship between the skeletal system and the rest of the body is profound. Without the bone's protection, the organs could not survive. Without their support, the muscles could not act. The skeleton provides the silent strength beneath every motion, but it also serves as a storehouse, releasing minerals when needed and producing the cells that carry oxygen and fight disease. It is both structure and sustenance, both armor and cradle. When viewed in its entirety, the human skeleton reveals not just utility, but beauty. Its curves and lines, its joints and connections, possess a sculptural elegance that mirrors the balance of nature itself. It is a reminder that strength need not be rigid, that endurance can coexist with grace. Each bone is shaped by countless generations of adaptation, honed by the slow work of evolution to fit perfectly into its place. Together, they form the framework of life, strong enough to bear its weight, flexible enough to embrace its movement, and enduring enough to carry its story through time. In the stillness of night, as the body rests, this framework remains quietly at work. It supports the breath that rises and falls, holds the heart in its chamber, and steadies the form against the pull of gravity. The skeleton, though unseen, is the body's foundation, the patient structure that allows life to flourish above it. To understand it is to see the beauty of strength in silence, and to recognize that within every human form lies a design of timeless precision, built not merely to endure, but to move, to grow, and to live. 7. The muscular system, vertical bar motion and energy. Beneath the surface of the human body lies a quiet engine, an intricate network of fibers woven through every limb and organ, shaping motion, posture, and even expression. This is the muscular system, a living mechanism that transforms invisible chemical energy into visible movement. Without it, the skeleton would stand motionless, the heart would cease its rhythm, and even the breath that sustains life would fall still. Muscles give the body its grace and strength, its fluidity and power. They are not merely instruments of movement, but vital partners in maintaining stability, warmth, and balance. Every gesture, from the smallest twitch of an eyelid to the steady rhythm of walking, arises from their ceaseless work. Muscle tissue is alive with potential energy, waiting only for the faint spark of a nerve signal to come alive. When activated, countless molecular interactions unfold, causing fibers to shorten and generate force. This simple action-contraction is the foundation of every movement the body can perform. Muscles do not act in isolation. They work in pairs and groups, balancing effort and release. As one muscle contracts, its counterpart relaxes, allowing smooth and coordinated motion. In this way, the body moves not through force alone, but through harmony, each part responding to another in a sequence of controlled precision. The human body contains more than 600 individual muscles, each adapted for a particular role. Some are large and powerful, capable of great strength, while others are fine and delicate, tuned for precision. They fall into three general types: skeletal, smooth, and cardiac, each with a unique rhythm and purpose. Skeletal muscles attach to bones and are responsible for voluntary movement, the motions we consciously control. Smooth muscles are found in the walls of internal organs, moving food through the intestines, guiding blood through vessels, and controlling the pupil's delicate adjustment to light. Cardiac muscle, found only in the heart, beats endlessly and involuntarily, driving the circulation that nourishes all other systems. Though their forms and functions differ, all three share a single principle: the conversion of chemical energy into mechanical work. Skeletal muscle, the most visible of the three, gives the body its external shape and movement. Each muscle is composed of thousands of long, cylindrical fibers bundled together and enclosed in connective tissue. These fibers run in parallel, forming a structure capable of both great power and remarkable endurance. Within each fiber lie smaller units called myofibrils, which contain the essential proteins, actin and myosin. These two molecules slide past one another in a precise, repeating pattern, shortening the fiber and generating contraction. This microscopic interaction, multiplied millions of times, is what allows a limb to lift, a hand to grasp, or the chest to expand with breath. The control of skeletal muscles is orchestrated by the nervous system. When the brain decides to move, an electrical impulse travels down the spinal cord and into a motor neuron. This signal reaches the muscle at a junction called the neuromuscular synapse, where it triggers the release of a neurotransmitter called acetylcholine. This chemical messenger bridges the gap between nerve and muscle, starting a cascade of reactions within the muscle fiber that releases calcium ions and activates contraction. The process occurs with astonishing speed, often within a fraction of a second. When the signal stops, calcium is reabsorbed, and the muscle relaxes, ready to contract again. This continuous cycle of tension and release gives movement its rhythm and fluidity. Every motion the body performs relies on coordination between multiple muscles. Some provide force, others stability. The large muscles of the legs and back bear weight and propel the body forward, while smaller groups in the hands and face manage delicate tasks like writing, smiling, or speaking. Even at rest, muscles remain quietly active, maintaining posture and balance. This state of partial contraction, known as muscle tone, keeps the body ready for movement while preventing collapse under its own weight. It is the unseen strength that allows us to sit upright, to stand still, and to hold the gentle grace of human form. Smooth muscle, though less conspicuous, is equally essential. Found in the walls of organs such as the stomach, intestines, and blood vessels, it functions without conscious control. Instead of long, striated fibers, smooth muscle is made of spindle-shaped cells that contract slowly and steadily. In the digestive system, they move food along the tract through a process called peristalsis, rhythmic waves of contraction that push contents forward. In the arteries, smooth muscle regulates blood flow by constricting or relaxing, adjusting pressure to match the body's needs. Even the smallest vessels, called arterioles, depend on this quiet, muscular control to direct blood where it is most needed: to the skin during heat, to the muscles during exertion, to the stomach during rest. Smooth muscle also lines the bladder, uterus, and respiratory passages, its calm, involuntary motion maintaining the internal harmony of the body. Cardiac muscle is unique, existing only in the heart. It combines the endurance of smooth muscle with the strength of skeletal muscle, contracting continuously throughout life without fatigue. The fibers of cardiac muscle are intricately branched and interconnected, forming a network that allows electrical impulses to spread quickly and evenly. This ensures that the heart contracts as a single, coordinated unit, pumping blood efficiently with every beat. Unlike other muscles, cardiac tissue possesses its own intrinsic rhythm. A small cluster of specialized cells in the right atrium, known as the sinoatrial node, acts as a natural pacemaker, generating impulses that dictate the heartbeat. These signals travel through the heart's conduction system, orchestrating the contraction of atria and ventricles in perfect sequence. Even when removed from the body, a heart can continue beating for a time, sustained by this internal rhythm, a testament to the self-sufficient nature of cardiac muscle. The muscular system is intimately connected with every other system in the body. It depends on the skeletal system for leverage and structure, on the nervous system for control, and on the circulatory system for oxygen and nutrients. In turn, it supports the function of these systems, enabling movement, assisting in blood flow, and generating heat. During physical activity, muscle contractions produce warmth as a natural byproduct, helping to maintain body temperature. When cold, small, rapid contractions, known as shivers, help generate heat, demonstrating the body's seamless integration of form and function. Even breathing, though partly automatic, relies on the contraction of the diaphragm, a dome-shaped muscle that separates the chest from the abdomen. When it tightens, air is drawn into the lungs. When it relaxes, air is expelled. Every breath, every heartbeat, every subtle motion of the body owes itself to muscle. Beneath the surface of physical strength lies the concept of endurance, the ability of muscles to sustain effort over time. This endurance depends on a balance of energy production and recovery. Within muscle fibers, stored molecules of glucose and fatty acids are broken down in the presence of oxygen to produce ATP, the molecule that fuels contraction. When oxygen is scarce, as during intense exertion, the body temporarily shifts to anaerobic metabolism, producing energy less efficiently and creating lactic acid as a byproduct. This chemical accumulation contributes to fatigue, reminding us of the fine balance between effort and rest. With time and training, muscles adapt, increasing their blood supply, enhancing oxygen use, and becoming stronger and more resilient. The body learns, just as the mind does, adjusting its rhythm to meet the challenges placed before it. Muscles also express the subtler aspects of life. They shape emotion and communication, the smile that greets a friend, the frown that marks concern, the gentle squeeze of a hand. All are acts of muscle. Even the smallest facial movements convey meaning, and behind them, fibers contract and relax with delicate precision. Muscles also reflect feeling inwardly. They tense in fear, soften in calm, and hold the body's unspoken memory of experience. The language of muscle is not only physical, but deeply human, a reflection of both strength and vulnerability. Though their work is constant, muscles age and change as the years pass. Fibers gradually lose some of their elasticity, and mass may diminish if not maintained through use. Yet the potential for renewal remains. Regular movement, gentle stretching, and balanced nutrition help sustain muscle health. In this, the body reminds us of its design. Motion sustains life. Muscles, when used, remain vibrant. When neglected, they fade. Like the flow of a river, they thrive through movement and decline through stillness. To imagine the muscular system is to envision motion made visible, a quiet orchestra of fibers, each responding to the conductor's invisible signal. When viewed beneath the skin, their arrangement is both powerful and graceful, like strands of silk woven with purpose. In rest, they lie in tranquil readiness. In action, they surge with coordinated strength. Their rhythm is life's rhythm, contraction and release, effort and ease, movement and rest. The muscles of the body tell a story of energy and design. They are the bridge between intention and action, thought and movement. Every step, every breath, every beat of the heart is their work, carried out in silence and precision. The muscular system is more than machinery. It is the poetry of motion, the gentle translation of inner will into outward grace. In its strength lies softness, and in its quiet endurance, the pulse of life itself. 8. The nervous system vertical bar, the electric web. Within the stillness of the human body, beneath the rhythm of the heartbeat and the slow rise of the breath, there exists an invisible network, a delicate and astonishing web of electrical energy. It stretches from the brain through the spine and outward into every organ, every fingertip, and every cell that senses or responds. This is the nervous system, the body's communication network, a living current that connects thought to movement, sensation to response, awareness to action. Without it, the body would be silent and uncoordinated, its systems unable to converse. With it, every part of us is united, linked through a continuous stream of tiny impulses so fast, so subtle, that they occur in the time it takes to blink an eye. The nervous system functions as both conductor and interpreter. It gathers information from the world through the senses: sight, sound, touch, taste, and smell, and sends it to the brain for understanding. It also gathers messages from within: the steady rhythm of the heart, the stretch of muscle, the temperature of the skin, the fullness of the lungs. Once this information is received, the nervous system interprets and responds, sending instructions back through the body. Some of these responses are conscious, like choosing to speak or move. Others are automatic, like the blink that protects the eye or the heartbeat that sustains life. Every moment, billions of signals flow through this intricate web, coordinating everything that makes life possible. The nervous system is divided into two great branches: the central nervous system. The central system, the brain and spinal cord, serves as the command center, processing information and making decisions. The peripheral system extends outward, connecting the central core to the limbs, organs, and tissues. Together, they function like a vast network of roads and rivers, carrying messages to and from the central hub. These messages travel along specialized cells called neurons, which transmit electrical signals in carefully timed sequences. A single neuron can communicate with thousands of others, forming pathways of thought and movement that are constantly changing, growing, and adapting. At the heart of this system lies the brain, the most complex structure known in the natural world. Though it weighs only about 3 pounds, it contains nearly 100 billion neurons, each connected to thousands of others. It is the seat of consciousness and memory, emotion and reason. Within its folds and layers, countless signals flicker in patterns too intricate to fully grasp the language of perception, imagination, and will. The brain is divided into regions, each with distinct roles. The cerebrum governs thought and voluntary movement. The cerebellum refines coordination and balance. The brainstem controls vital functions like breathing and heart rate, yet no part acts alone. Communication between regions is constant and seamless, a flow of information that keeps the mind and body in harmony. Emerging from the base of the brain, the spinal cord extends downward through the vertebral column, protected by the bones of the spine. It serves as a vital bridge between the brain and the rest of the body, carrying messages back and forth with remarkable speed. Along its length, pairs of spinal nerves branch out, connecting to the body's muscles, skin. Through these nerves, sensations like pressure, temperature, and pain travel upward to the brain, while commands for movement and reflexes travel downward. The spinal cord also has its own quiet intelligence, the ability to process certain responses without conscious thought. When you touch something hot, and withdraw your hand instantly. The decision to move occurs within the spinal cord before the signal even reaches the brain. This automatic reaction, called a reflex, protects the body through speed and instinct. The peripheral nervous system, radiating outward from the spinal cord, consists of two main divisions: the somatic system and the autonomic system. The somatic system governs voluntary actions, the movements we consciously choose to make. It allows us to walk, write, or speak with deliberate control. The autonomic system, by contrast, manages the functions that occur without conscious effort. It regulates heart rate, digestion, and breathing, maintaining the steady rhythm of life. Within the autonomic system are two balancing forces: the sympathetic and parasympathetic divisions. The sympathetic system prepares the body for action, increasing heartbeat and alertness when danger or exertion arises. The parasympathetic system restores calm, slowing the pulse, aiding digestion, and allowing rest. Together, they form a dual harmony, one awakening, the other soothing, ensuring that the body remains balanced through every change of state. Each neuron within this vast network is a marvel of design. Though microscopic, it carries out complex tasks with exquisite precision. A neuron's structure reflects its function. The cell body holds the nucleus, the dendrites receive incoming signals, and the long, slender axon carries impulses outward to other neurons, muscles, or glands. These electrical signals travel as tiny waves of charged particles moving across the neuron's membrane, a process driven by the flow of sodium and potassium ions. When a signal reaches the end of an axon, it crosses a small gap called a synapse. The message is transmitted not by electricity but by chemistry. Molecules known as neurotransmitters are released, binding to receptors on the next cell and continuing the communication. This exchange happens countless times every second, creating the electrical symphony that animates the body. The speed and precision of this communication are astonishing. Some signals travel more than 100 meters per second, faster than the blink of an eye. And yet, the nervous system is not simply about speed. It is about balance, adaptation, and learning. Each new experience leaves a trace, strengthening or weakening the connections between neurons. This process, known as neuroplasticity, allows the brain to change with time, to learn, to remember, to heal. Even after injury, new pathways can form, allowing lost functions to return through patient repetition and practice. The brain, like the body it governs, is a living organ of renewal. Within this electrical network lies the essence of sensation and perception. The nervous system translates the physical world into patterns of nerve impulses. Vibrations of sound become hearing, wavelengths of light become vision, and pressure against the skin becomes touch. Each sense provides a different window into reality, yet all are unified in the brain's interpretation. What we perceive as the warmth of sunlight or the softness of fabric is, at its core, a precise arrangement of electrical and chemical signals. In this way, the nervous system transforms the mechanical into the meaningful, allowing us not only to survive, but to experience beauty, comfort, and emotion. The nervous system also governs the inner landscape: thoughts, feelings, and awareness. Emotions such as joy, fear, and calm arise from patterns of neural activity, shaped by the release of neurotransmitters like dopamine, serotonin, and norepinephrine. These chemicals influence mood, motivation, and energy, guiding behavior as subtly as the wind shapes the surface of water. The mind, with all its depth and mystery, emerges from this interplay of biology and electricity. Consciousness itself, the ability to reflect, to imagine, to dream, is the quiet outcome of countless neurons working together in harmony. Even in sleep, the nervous system remains awake in its own way. As the body rests, The brain continues to organize and store memories, regulate breathing, and maintain the heartbeat. In the phases of dreaming, neurons fire in patterns that mirror waking thought, weaving fragments of experience into shifting images. The nervous system never truly sleeps. It simply changes its rhythm, conserving energy while keeping life's essential functions in motion. This vast web of communication unites all parts of the human body into a single, responsive whole. It is at once delicate and powerful, vulnerable to damage, yet capable of remarkable resilience. When viewed as a whole, the nervous system resembles a luminous network of light, spreading through the body in fine, branching lines. Each connection represents a pulse of energy, a signal linking the mind to the world. It is an image of both complexity and calm, a reminder that within the apparent stillness of life, there is endless motion, an invisible dance of impulses that defines our every moment. The nervous system, in its quiet brilliance, is both messenger and mediator. It translates intention into action, perception into understanding, and sensation into meaning. It binds the body into a single living consciousness, one that moves, feels, and remembers. Every breath, every thought, every beat of the heart depends on its unseen guidance. Like threads of light woven through the fabric of the body, the nervous system is the bridge between matter and awareness, the electric web of being itself. 9. The endocrine system, vertical bar, hormones in harmony within. The quiet rhythm of the human body. Beyond the pulse of the heart and the hum of the nerves, there exists another form of communication, slower, deeper, and more enduring. This is the endocrine system, a network of glands and hormones that governs life's inner balance. While the nervous system speaks in quick bursts of electricity, the endocrine system whispers in chemistry, sending its messages through the bloodstream to every organ, every cell, and every corner of the body. It does not act in seconds, but in minutes, hours, or days. Yet its influence is profound. It regulates growth, mood, metabolism, reproduction, and the subtle harmony between energy and rest. Through its steady signals, the body finds equilibrium, adjusting gently to the ever-changing world. The endocrine system can be imagined as a quiet orchestra of glands, each producing chemical notes that travel invisibly through the blood. These notes are hormones, molecular messengers that bind to receptors on target cells, guiding them to act, to grow, or to change their rhythm. Each hormone has its own tone, its own purpose, yet none work alone. They exist in balance, rising and falling in perfect coordination. A single imbalance can alter the body's mood or metabolism, reminding us of how delicately our inner harmony depends on their unseen communication. Among the most important of these glands is the hypothalamus, a small structure deep within the brain that bridges the nervous and endocrine systems. It is the master regulator, sensing the body's internal state, temperature, hunger, stress, and fatigue, and sending instructions to other glands to maintain stability. Just below it rests the pituitary gland, often called the master gland, for it releases hormones that control many others. Together, the hypothalamus and pituitary form the command center of the endocrine world. The hypothalamus sends releasing hormones to the pituitary, which responds by producing its own signals that travel through the blood to distant organs. It is through this partnership that growth, reproduction, and metabolism are finely tuned to match the body's needs. The pituitary gland's influence extends throughout the body. One of its hormones, growth hormone, stimulates the development of bones and muscles, particularly in childhood. Another, thyroid-stimulating hormone, prompts the thyroid gland to produce its vital hormones, which regulate metabolism and energy use. Adrenocorticotropic hormone, or ACTH, signals the adrenal glands to release cortisol, a hormone that helps the body respond to stress. Other pituitary hormones govern reproduction. Follicle-stimulating hormone and luteinizing hormone coordinate the activity of the ovaries and testes, while prolactin encourages milk production in new mothers. The posterior part of the pituitary releases oxytocin, which strengthens the bond between parent and child, and antidiuretic hormone, which helps the kidneys conserve water. Though small in size, the pituitary's reach is vast, influencing nearly every process of life. The thyroid gland, shaped like a butterfly at the base of the neck, controls the body's metabolic tempo. It produces thyroxine and triiodhyronine, hormones that set the rate at which cells burn energy. When the thyroid is active, the body feels warm, alert, and energetic. When it slows, everything becomes still. The heartbeat, digestion, even thought itself. This gentle control of pace is essential, for the body's chemistry depends on balance. The thyroid also partners with the parathyroid glands, 4 tiny structures nestled behind it, which regulate calcium levels in the blood. Calcium is vital not only for bones but also for nerve conduction and muscle contraction. Through their combined influence, these glands maintain both the energy and the strength that support daily life. Resting atop the kidneys are the adrenal glands, small yet powerful sources of vitality. Each adrenal gland has 2 layers, each performing distinct roles. The outer cortex produces steroid hormones such as cortisol, aldosterone, and small amounts of sex hormones. Cortisol helps the body respond to stress by mobilizing energy, raising blood sugar, and moderating inflammation. Aldosterone regulates salt and water balance, ensuring blood pressure remains stable. The inner medulla, by contrast, acts with speed, releasing adrenaline and noradrenaline, the hormones of alertness. These prepare the body for immediate action, quickening the heart, sharpening the senses, and directing blood to the muscles. Together, the adrenal hormones form a balance between readiness and recovery, the ability to act when needed, and to return to calm when the moment passes. Another vital gland lies deep in the abdomen. It serves both as a digestive organ and as an endocrine regulator. Its clusters of endocrine cells, known as the islets of Langerhans, produce insulin and glucagon, 2 hormones that maintain the delicate balance of blood glucose. Insulin lowers blood sugar by helping cells absorb glucose for energy, while glucagon raises it by signaling the liver to release stored sugar into the bloodstream. These 2 forces work in perfect opposition yet complete harmony, ensuring that the body's energy supply remains steady. When this balance is disturbed, as in diabetes, the consequences ripple through every system. Still, when in balance, this partnership keeps every cell nourished, every organ alive with energy. The reproductive glands, ovaries in females and testes in males, bring another dimension to the endocrine system. They produce sex hormones that shape both physical form and emotional rhythm. In females, the ovaries secrete estrogen and progesterone, regulating the menstrual cycle, supporting fertility, and maintaining the delicate balance that allows new life to begin. In males, the testes produce testosterone, fostering muscle growth, bone density, and the deepening of the voice. These hormones also influence mood, motivation, and behavior, intertwining biology with emotion in subtle ways. They remind us that the endocrine system governs not only function but also feeling, linking the physical and emotional worlds in one continuous current. The pineal gland, a tiny structure nestled near the center of the brain, is another quiet yet powerful influence. It produces melatonin, a hormone that regulates sleep and wakefulness. As light fades, melatonin levels rise, guiding the body into rest. As morning comes, they fall, preparing the mind to awaken. This daily rhythm, known as the circadian cycle, is one of the body's most ancient patterns. It synchronizes internal time with the turning of the earth, connecting human life to the natural rhythm of day and night. Across all these glands and their countless hormones runs a single theme: balance. Every hormone acts as part of a feedback system, where the result of an action influences its continuation. When hormone levels rise too high, signals are sent to reduce production. When they fall too low, stimulation begins again. This self-regulating loop ensures that no single process dominates, that energy, temperature, and growth remain in harmony. It is a design both simple and profound, reflecting the body's innate wisdom. The effects of the endocrine system are not limited to physical processes. Hormones shape the mind as much as the body. They influence mood, alertness, and even perception. The surge of adrenaline that accompanies excitement, the calm induced by oxytocin's quiet presence, the warmth of affection, the peaceful drift into sleep, all are guided by chemical messengers flowing silently through the blood. Each emotion, though intangible, is rooted in this delicate chemistry. In this way, the endocrine system serves as the link between the physical and emotional self, between the tangible and the unseen. It is remarkable to think that so much of life's rhythm depends on molecules so small they cannot be seen. Yet their influence is vast. They allow a child to grow, a wound to heal, a mother to nurture, and the body to find peace after strain. Through the endocrine system, time itself finds expression within us. Cycles of energy, rest, reproduction, and renewal unfolding in patterns that mirror the natural world. The waxing and waning of hormones are the body's tides, rising and falling in response to both internal need and the world beyond. To reflect on the endocrine system is to glimpse the poetry of biology, a slow, fluid communication that sustains harmony from within. It does not shout, it murmurs. Its messages flow not through wires or pulses, but through the bloodstream's gentle currents. It is patient, enduring, and precise, guiding life quietly from moment to moment. The endocrine system, in all its subtlety, teaches that balance is not stillness but motion, a constant, delicate adjustment that allows the human body to live in harmony with itself and with the world it inhabits. 10. The cardiovascular system. Vertical bar, the heart's endless journey. Within the quiet rhythm of existence, there beats a steady pulse, ancient, unbroken, and tireless. It begins before birth and continues until life's final moment. This is the heart, the central force of the cardiovascular system, moving blood through a network that touches every part of the body. Each heartbeat sends life outward in waves, carrying warmth, nourishment, and oxygen to even the smallest cells. The cardiovascular system is not only a mechanism of survival, but also a symbol of continuity. It is the body's own river, flowing endlessly, linking all systems together in the gentle circulation of life. The human cardiovascular system consists of the heart, the blood vessels, and the blood itself, three components working in perfect unison. Together they form a closed circuit that carries essential substances to every tissue while removing the waste products of metabolism. Through this ceaseless motion, the body maintains its internal environment, sustaining every moment of thought, movement. The heart is the center, the vessels are the pathways, and the blood is the traveler. In their coordination lies a harmony both mechanical and poetic, a music of movement that defines the living body. The heart sits slightly to the left of the midline of the chest, protected by the rib cage and cushioned by the lungs. Roughly the size of a clenched fist, it beats about 100,000 times a day, moving close to 5 liters of blood through the body each minute. Despite its small size, the heart's strength is immense. It functions as a pump divided into 4 chambers, 2 atria above and 2 ventricles below. The right side of the heart handles deoxygenated blood returning from the body, while the left side manages oxygen-rich blood returning from the lungs. Valves between the chambers open and close with precise timing, ensuring that blood flows in only one direction. With each contraction, the heart sends a surge of life outward, and with each relaxation, it receives the returning tide. The rhythm of the heart is guided by an internal electrical system that generates and conducts impulses automatically. The sinoatrial node, located in the right atrium, acts as the natural pacemaker, setting the tempo of the heartbeat. This tiny cluster of cells emits electrical signals that travel across the atria, causing them to contract and push blood into the ventricles. The impulse then moves to the atrioventricular node, where it pauses briefly before descending through specialized fibers into the ventricles, prompting them to contract in turn. This sequence ensures that the heart works in a coordinated manner, a graceful, repeating cycle of filling and emptying, contraction and release. Even in stillness, even in sleep, the rhythm continues unbroken, a quiet reminder that life itself is motion. From the heart, blood travels through an intricate system of vessels that stretch thousands of kilometers within the human body. The arteries carry blood away from the heart, their muscular walls expanding with each pulse to accommodate the surge of pressure. The largest artery, the aorta, rises from the left ventricle and branches into smaller vessels that reach every region of the body. As the arteries divide into arterioles and eventually into capillaries, their walls become thinner, allowing the exchange of gases, nutrients, and wastes between blood and tissue. Within these microscopic vessels, oxygen leaves the blood to nourish cells, and carbon dioxide, a byproduct of metabolism, enters to be carried away. After this exchange, the blood gathers into small veins called venules, which merge into larger veins, returning the flow to the heart. This continuous circuit from heart to body and back again is known as systemic circulation. A second loop, called pulmonary circulation, connects the heart to the lungs. In this cycle, blood low in oxygen and rich in carbon dioxide flows from the right ventricle through the pulmonary arteries to the lungs. There, it passes through fine networks of capillaries surrounding the alveoli, the tiny air sacs where gas exchange occurs. Oxygen diffuses into the blood, while carbon dioxide is released to be exhaled. The newly oxygenated blood then returns to the left atrium of the heart through the pulmonary veins, ready to begin its journey once more through the body. These two circuits, systemic and pulmonary, operate in perfect harmony, maintaining the balance between oxygen and carbon dioxide that sustains every breath and heartbeat. Blood itself is a remarkable substance, both fluid and alive. It is composed of plasma, red blood cells, white blood cells, and platelets, each serving a unique purpose. Plasma, the liquid portion, carries nutrients, hormones, and waste products. It provides the medium through which all the other components travel. Red blood cells, or erythrocytes, make up the majority of the blood's volume. They are small, disc-shaped cells filled with hemoglobin, a protein that binds oxygen in the lungs and releases it where it is needed most. White blood cells, or leukocytes, defend the body against infection, moving like sentinels through the bloodstream and tissues. Platelets, tiny fragments of cells, play a vital role in clotting, sealing wounds, and preventing blood loss. Each drop of blood is a microcosm of the body's entire design, movement, defense, repair, and renewal, all contained within it. The cardiovascular system does far more than deliver oxygen and nutrients. It also regulates temperature, distributes hormones, and maintains the body's pH balance. When the body becomes warm, blood vessels near the skin dilate, allowing heat to escape. When cold, they constrict to preserve warmth. The flow of blood also carries the hormones produced by the endocrine system, ensuring that their messages reach distant organs. Waste products from cellular metabolism are transported to the kidneys, liver, and lungs for elimination. Through all of this, the heart keeps time, maintaining the steady pulse that synchronizes the whole. The relationship between the cardiovascular and other systems is deeply interwoven. The respiratory system provides the oxygen that the blood carries. The digestive system supplies nutrients absorbed from food. The endocrine system influences heart rate and blood pressure through its hormones. And the nervous system oversees it all, adjusting flow according to need. During exertion, signals from the brain cause the heart to beat faster, sending more oxygen to the muscles. During rest, the heart slows, conserving energy. This constant adaptation ensures that the body's energy supply always matches its demands. At times, the heart also responds to emotions. Fear, excitement, love, and sorrow can all quicken its rhythm or slow it down. These changes reflect the intimate link between the physical and emotional selves. When we feel our heart race or ache, it is not just metaphor but biology, the body expressing what the mind experiences. This connection between feeling and heartbeat has inspired art and poetry for centuries, but it also reflects a truth of physiology. The heart listens as much as it speaks. Though the heart's function is vital, it performs its task with extraordinary efficiency. Its muscle, known as the myocardium, is uniquely adapted for endurance. Unlike skeletal muscle, which tires after prolonged effort, cardiac muscle cells are interconnected in a branching network that allows impulses to spread rapidly and uniformly. They contract in unison, producing a heartbeat that is both powerful and rhythmic. Between beats, the heart rests for a fraction of a second, a pause so brief yet so essential, allowing it to refill with blood and maintain its tireless performance. Even over a lifetime of billions of contractions, the heart rarely falters, its strength renewed by the flow it generates. Blood vessels themselves are not merely passive channels but living tissues that respond to their environment. Their walls contain smooth muscle that can constrict or relax, adjusting the diameter of the vessel and thus the pressure of the blood within. This regulation ensures that vital organs such as the brain and kidneys receive a steady supply even when other parts of the body demand more. The elasticity of arteries allows them to absorb the force of each heartbeat, while the valves within veins prevent the backflow of blood as it returns to the heart. Every aspect of the vascular system reflects a design of balance power, tempered by flexibility, motion, tempered by control. The cardiovascular system also holds memory. Each heartbeat carries the imprint of experience, the moments of rest, of exertion, of joy and sorrow. Over the years, the heart adapts to its owner's life, growing stronger through use or softening in stillness. It listens to the body's needs without hesitation, adjusting rhythm and force in silent obedience. To imagine the heart is to imagine a lifelong companion, steady and faithful, asking nothing in return but the breath that fuels it and the care that keeps it whole. As the body rests, the heart continues its work without complaint. Blood still moves through the sleeping form, oxygen still reaches every cell, and the quiet pulse beneath the skin continues unbroken. The cardiovascular system is, in many ways, the embodiment of life itself, constant movement within stillness, flow within form. It is both the carrier of vitality and the keeper of time. Every moment of existence is measured in its rhythm, every experience borne upon its gentle tide. To understand the cardiovascular system is to glimpse the beauty of endurance. It is to recognize that strength need not be loud, that persistence can be silent. The heart's endless journey is one of devotion, steady, patient, and serene, a movement that sustains all others. Through its tireless motion, life continues, flowing softly within us, a reminder that even in rest, the body is never still. 11. The lymphatic and immune systems vertical bar, the silent defenders. Deep within the soft tissues of the human body, beneath the steady rhythm of the bloodstream, another quieter circulation moves with patient grace. It has no pulse, no central pump, and yet it flows continuously, cleansing, protecting, and maintaining the balance of life. This is the lymphatic system, a companion to the cardiovascular network and a guardian of the body's internal peace. Alongside it works the immune system, an invisible army of watchful cells and molecules, ready to defend against harm while preserving the body's delicate harmony. Together they form the silent defenders, a partnership that safeguards life not through force or noise, but through balance, awareness, and quiet vigilance. The lymphatic system can be imagined as a network of gentle streams running parallel to the rivers of blood. These streams collect excess fluid from the tissues, filter it, and return it to the bloodstream, ensuring that the body neither swells nor dries. This fluid, called lymph, begins as plasma that seeps out of the capillaries to bathe the cells in nutrients and oxygen. Most of it returns to the veins directly, but a small portion enters the lymphatic vessels, where it becomes lymph. Unlike blood, which circulates through the powerful pumping of the heart, lymph moves slowly, propelled by the natural motion of muscles, breathing, and the rhythmic contraction of vessel walls. Each step, each breath, each gentle stretch encourages this fluid to flow, reminding us that movement is itself a form of healing. Lymphatic vessels are delicate, transparent tubes that weave through every part of the body. They gather the lymph and guide it toward larger collecting ducts that eventually merge with the veins near the heart. Along the way, the lymph passes through small, bean-shaped structures called lymph nodes. These nodes are the checkpoints of the lymphatic journey, filtering stations that trap unwanted substances such as bacteria, damaged cells, or debris. Inside, specialized immune cells known as lymphocytes examine the contents of the fluid, recognizing and responding to anything that does not belong. In times of illness, the nodes may swell slightly, evidence of the quiet struggle taking place within, a sign not of weakness, but of the body's silent defense in action. Scattered throughout the body are other important components of this system. The spleen, nestled beneath the ribs on the left side, is both a reservoir and a filter for blood. It removes aged red blood cells, stores platelets, and produces lymphocytes that contribute to immune defense. The thymus, located just behind the sternum, plays a special role in early life by training immature lymphocytes to recognize what belongs to the body and what does not. This education ensures that the immune system protects without turning against its own tissues. The tonsils, positioned at the entrance of the throat, serve as sentinels, intercepting harmful particles before they can travel deeper into the body. Even in the intestines, clusters of lymphatic tissue, known as Peyer's patches, monitor the contents of the digestive tract, guarding against harmful microorganisms while coexisting peacefully with beneficial ones. The lymphatic system's duties extend beyond defense. It also assists in the absorption of fats and fat-soluble vitamins from the digestive system, transporting them through special vessels called lacteals. These small pathways, found in the lining of the small intestine, collect the nutrients that water-based blood cannot carry easily, delivering them into circulation. In this way, the lymphatic system not only cleanses and protects but also nourishes, contributing to the continuous exchange that sustains life. Flowing within and around this system is the immune system, a remarkable network of cells, tissues, and chemical messengers that protect the body from infection and disease. Unlike the organs of other systems, the immune system has no single location. It exists everywhere, woven into the skin, blood, bone marrow, and lymphatic vessels. Its sentinels patrol constantly, distinguishing between what is self and what is foreign, between friend and foe. The immune system's purpose is not aggression but balance. It must act decisively against invaders while preserving the integrity of the body's own tissues, a balance so delicate that even a small error can lead to illness. The immune system's first line of defense is the body's physical barriers. The skin, unbroken and resilient, prevents most pathogens from entering. Mucous membranes lining the respiratory, digestive, and reproductive tracts trap particles and microbes, aided by tiny hair-like cilia that sweep them away. Tears, saliva, and stomach acid contain substances that destroy bacteria before they can gain a foothold. These barriers act continuously and without conscious effort, a quiet shield that guards the body's outermost boundary. When these barriers are breached, the body's internal defenses awaken. White blood cells circulate through the blood and lymph, each type specialized for a different task. Some, like macrophages, engulf and digest foreign particles. Others, such as neutrophils, arrive quickly at the site of injury or infection, releasing chemicals that attract more defenders. Lymphocytes, the immune system's most intelligent cells, play a central role in long-term protection. They come in two major forms: B cells and T cells. B cells produce antibodies, proteins that recognize and neutralize specific invaders. Once an antibody binds to its target, other immune cells can eliminate it. T cells, on the other hand, coordinate the immune response and directly destroy infected cells. These processes unfold quietly within the body, precise and efficient, a biological dialogue between recognition and response. One of the immune system's most extraordinary qualities is its memory. After an infection, certain lymphocytes remain in the body, remembering the invader's structure. If the same pathogen returns, the immune system recognizes it instantly and responds with greater speed and strength. This memory forms the basis of immunity, the reason a person rarely suffers twice from the same illness. Vaccines work on this principle, introducing a harmless version of a pathogen to teach the immune system its pattern, ensuring readiness without causing disease. Through memory, the immune system evolves, learning from experience and growing wiser with time. Inflammation is another part of this defense, often misunderstood as purely harmful, when in truth it is a vital process of healing. When tissue is injured or infected, blood flow increases to the area, bringing immune cells and nutrients. The warmth, redness, and swelling that follow are signs of the body's effort to repair and defend. Once the threat is removed, the inflammation subsides, and the tissue begins to heal. It is a process as old as life itself, one that demonstrates the body's constant dialogue between damage and recovery, activity and rest. Despite its power, the immune system works best in balance. If it is overactive, it may attack the body's own tissues, leading to autoimmune disorders. If underactive, it may fail to respond adequately to infection. The harmony of this system depends on many factors: nutrition, rest, emotional well-being, and the body's general state of health. Even stress can influence immune activity, as the hormones released in moments of strain can temporarily suppress its vigilance. Thus, caring for the immune system is not simply a matter of protection, but of balance, a calm cooperation between body and mind. The lymphatic and immune systems, though intricate, are profoundly quiet in their operation. We seldom feel their work, and yet they are always present, filtering, repairing, and defending. Their activity is subtle, measured in microscopic exchanges rather than grand movements. To imagine their function is to picture clear water flowing through hidden channels, cleansing and renewing the landscape it passes through. Every moment, this inner stream carries away waste, distributes nourishment, and supports the body's endless renewal. In the stillness of night, while the heart continues to beat and the lungs rise and fall, The lymphatic and immune systems remain at their posts. They patrol the tissues, recognize patterns, and keep the peace within the body's countless cells. They ask for no recognition, no conscious guidance, only the gentle support of a life in balance. They are the silent defenders, working in shadows yet preserving the light of health. In their patience and precision lies one of nature's most elegant truths, that protection need not be violent, that strength can dwell in stillness, and that even in the quietest depths of the body, harmony is always at work. 12. The respiratory system, vertical bar, the breath of balance. Every moment of life, in every heartbeat and quiet thought, there moves an unseen rhythm. It is the most familiar of all bodily motions, so constant that it fades from awareness, yet it is the foundation of life itself. The respiratory system sustains this rhythm, drawing air from the world outside and transforming it into the oxygen that fuels every cell. With each breath, a gentle balance unfolds, oxygen flowing in, carbon dioxide flowing out, a cycle of giving and releasing that mirrors the calm exchange between body and world. Breathing is more than a mechanical process. It is a conversation between life and atmosphere, a continuous partnership that began long before consciousness and endures through every stage of being. The act of breathing begins at the gateway of the nose and mouth. Air enters softly, filtered, warmed, and moistened before it travels deeper into the body. The nose, lined with fine hairs and mucous membranes, traps dust, pollen, and microorganisms, ensuring that the air reaching the lungs is clean and safe. As it passes through the nasal cavity, the air also resonates in the sinuses, where its temperature and humidity are adjusted to match the body's internal environment. From there, it flows gently down the throat, the pharynx, and passes through the larynx, or voice box, where sound is created as air brushes across the vocal cords. Even in this simple passage, the air carries the potential for expression, the power of voice born from the quiet act of inhalation. From the larynx, the pathway divides into the trachea, a firm yet flexible tube supported by C-shaped rings of cartilage. These rings keep the airway open, allowing the smooth passage of air regardless of position or motion. The trachea branches into two primary bronchi, one leading to each lung, and from there, the branches continue to divide bronchi into smaller bronchioles, and bronchioles into even finer passages. This branching network resembles the limbs of a tree turned upside down, its trunk at the throat and its countless twigs ending in the lungs. Every division increases the surface area available for the exchange of gases, allowing air to reach deep into the lungs' quiet interior. At the end of each bronchiole lie clusters of tiny air sacs called alveoli, delicate spheres, where the true magic of respiration occurs. The alveoli are wrapped in a web of capillaries, the smallest of blood vessels, their walls so thin that gases can pass through with ease. When air enters these sacs, oxygen diffuses across the membrane into the blood, binding to the hemoglobin in red blood cells. At the same time, carbon dioxide, a waste product of cellular metabolism, moves from the blood into the alveoli to be exhaled. This exchange is constant and silent, a meeting point between the body and the atmosphere, where life renews itself with every breath. The lungs themselves are soft, spongy organs, divided into lobes, 3 on the right, 2 on the left, leaving space for the heart's gentle curve. They are housed within the thoracic cavity, protected by the ribs and separated from the 4 abdominal organs by the diaphragm, a broad sheet of muscle that forms the floor of the chest. The lungs do not draw in air by their own power. Rather, they follow the motion of the diaphragm and the chest wall. When the diaphragm contracts, it moves downward, expanding the space within the chest and reducing the pressure inside the lungs. Air flows in naturally to fill the void. When the diaphragm relaxes, it rises again, pressing gently on the lungs and pushing the air out. This alternating motion, contraction, and release, inhalation and exhalation continues tirelessly, a rhythm that sustains every moment of life. Breathing is both voluntary and involuntary, one of the few functions of the body that can move between conscious control and automatic rhythm. Most of the time, it proceeds without thought, guided by the brainstem, which monitors levels of oxygen and carbon dioxide in the blood. If carbon dioxide rises too high, signals prompt the muscles of breathing to increase their pace. If oxygen is plentiful, the rhythm slows. Yet at any moment, we can choose to alter this rhythm, to take a deep breath, to sigh, to speak, or to sing. In this way, the respiratory system bridges the conscious and unconscious worlds, connecting body and mind in a shared rhythm of awareness. The importance of oxygen in the body cannot be overstated. Every cell depends on it to release energy from nutrients through the process of cellular respiration. In the mitochondria, oxygen allows glucose to break down completely, producing energy in the form of adenosine triphosphate, or ATP. Without oxygen, this process falters, and the body's energy supply dwindles within minutes. The respiratory system, therefore, is not just about air. It is about energy, renewal, and the continuity of life. Its role extends beyond the lungs, reaching into every organ and tissue, sustaining the silent work of the heart, the brain, and the muscles. The exchange of gases also carries away carbon dioxide, the quiet counterpart of oxygen's gift. Carbon dioxide, though often seen as waste, plays a vital role in maintaining the body's acid-base balance. The amount of carbon dioxide in the blood influences its pH, and even small changes can affect how efficiently oxygen is released to the tissues. The body regulates this balance through breathing. Faster respiration lowers carbon dioxide levels and raises pH, while slower breathing allows carbon dioxide to accumulate, restoring equilibrium. Through this simple adjustment, the respiratory system maintains one of the most delicate balances in the body, preserving the chemistry of life with effortless precision. Breathing is also a form of communication with the environment, a continuous exchange that links the inner world with the outer one. Every breath you take contains molecules that have moved through countless living things before, through forests, oceans, and generations of life. The oxygen in your lungs today may once have nourished a tree, a bird, or a human centuries ago. In breathing, we participate in the planet's shared cycle, drawing in the air that sustains all creatures and returning to it the carbon that will nourish plants once more. It is a reminder that life is not isolated but part of a vast, interconnected rhythm. The respiratory system adapts constantly to the body's needs. During rest, breathing is slow and shallow, enough to sustain quiet activity. During exercise or exertion, it deepens and quickens, bringing in more oxygen and expelling more carbon dioxide. The muscles between the ribs assist the diaphragm, expanding the chest with greater force. Blood flow to the lungs increases, and capillaries open to accommodate the demand. When the effort ends, breathing gradually returns to its calm baseline, the lungs and diaphragm resuming their tranquil dance. This adaptability ensures that the supply of oxygen always matches the body's shifting energy needs, moment by moment, breath by breath. Beyond its physiological purpose, breathing has a profound influence on the mind and emotions. Rapid, shallow breaths accompany tension or fear, while slow, deep breathing brings calm and clarity. Through conscious breath, we can quiet the body's stress responses, steady the heart rate, and ease the mind into rest. In this way, the respiratory system becomes a bridge between physiology and serenity. Across cultures and centuries, breath has been regarded as a symbol of life's essence, the invisible thread that connects the body to spirit, motion to stillness. Even as we sleep, the lungs continue their steady work. The brain adjusts the rhythm to the body's needs, slowing and deepening each breath. The blood continues to circulate, oxygen continues to flow, and the body renews itself in rest. The respiratory system does not demand attention or effort. It simply serves, quietly and faithfully, maintaining the balance that allows all other systems to function. Its rhythm is both constant and adaptable, both mechanical and deeply human. To imagine the respiratory system is to envision a landscape in motion, air flowing through branching passages like wind through trees, blood moving through capillaries like rivers through fields, the diaphragm rising and falling like the tide. It is an image of harmony, of exchange, of balance, sustained through gentle repetition. The breath of life, though invisible, is the most enduring of all rhythms, a reminder that within stillness there is motion, and within motion, peace. The respiratory system, with its calm precision, teaches us that living is not only about action but about balance, the endless, effortless harmony between taking in and letting go. 13. The digestive system, vertical bar, the story of nourishment. Within every living being, there is a quiet and constant process that sustains existence, a cycle of receiving, transforming, and releasing. In the human body, this process is embodied by the digestive system, a graceful chain of organs that together tell the story of nourishment. It is the system through which the outside world becomes part of us, where the food we take in is broken down, absorbed, and woven into the living fabric of the body. Every heartbeat, every motion, every gentle breath is powered by the energy drawn from this endless transformation. The digestive system works not with haste or noise, but with patient rhythm, an ancient and essential dance of chemistry and motion. The journey of digestion begins long before food reaches the stomach. It starts with the senses, the sight, scent, and even thought of food. These cues awaken the salivary glands, preparing the body to receive and process nourishment. When we take the first bite, the mouth becomes the gateway to digestion. Here, teeth perform the mechanical work of breaking food into smaller pieces, while saliva begins the chemical process. Within this clear, simple fluid are enzymes such as amylase, which start to break down complex carbohydrates into simpler sugars. Saliva also moistens food, forming a soft mass called a bolus, making it easier to swallow. The tongue, flexible and strong, moves the bolus toward the back of the throat, where swallowing begins a coordinated motion that gently guides food from the mouth into the esophagus. The esophagus is a smooth, muscular tube connecting the throat to the stomach. Its walls contract in rhythmic waves, a motion known as peristalsis, which moves the bolus downward regardless of gravity. Even when lying down, the process continues, showing the body's quiet determination to sustain life. A small ring of muscle at the lower end of the esophagus. The lower esophageal sphincter opens to allow food into the stomach and closes again to prevent it from returning upward. This motion marks the transition from the simple beginnings of digestion to the deeper, more transformative stage that follows. The stomach, nestled in the upper left of the abdomen, is a muscular chamber designed for both mixing and breakdown. Its lining secretes gastric juices composed of hydrochloric acid and digestive enzymes, particularly pepsin, which begins the breakdown of proteins. The acid environment also kills most bacteria that enter with food, providing an additional layer of protection. The stomach's muscular walls churn the contents gently, blending them into a semi-liquid mixture known as chyme. This process may take several hours, during which the food's texture and chemistry change entirely, becoming ready for the next phase of digestion. Despite the strength of its secretions, the stomach protects itself through a thick layer of mucus that coats its walls, a silent shield that preserves the delicate tissue beneath from the power of its own acids. When the chyme is ready, it passes through another ring of muscle, the pyloric sphincter, into the small intestine, the longest part of the digestive tract and the heart of absorption. Here, The story of nourishment unfolds in intricate detail. The small intestine is divided into three sections: the duodenum, jejunum, and ileum, each with its own role in transforming food into usable energy. In the duodenum, the chyme mixes with secretions from the pancreas and bile from the liver. Pancreatic juices contain enzymes that complete the breakdown of carbohydrates, proteins, and fats, while bile, stored in the gallbladder and released when needed, emulsifies fats into tiny droplets, allowing enzymes to act more effectively. The coordination of these secretions is remarkable, timed perfectly to the body's needs, ensuring that digestion proceeds smoothly and efficiently. As digestion continues through the jejunum and ileum, the inner walls of the small intestine, covered in countless folds and finger-like projections, called villi, absorb nutrients into the bloodstream. Each villus contains a network of capillaries and a lymphatic vessel, known as a lacteal, through which fats enter the lymphatic system before reaching the blood. The surface area of the small intestine is immense, allowing nearly all useful substances to be drawn from the food we eat. Sugars, amino acids, fatty acids, vitamins, and minerals all pass through these delicate membranes, entering the body's internal circulation. The process is gentle but relentless, transforming the outer world into the very essence of life. What remains after absorption, the indigestible fibers, water, and waste materials, moves onward into the large intestine. Here, the journey slows, and the focus shifts from digestion to reclamation. The large intestine, or colon, absorbs water and electrolytes, compacting the remaining material into solid form. Within its walls live trillions of microorganisms, forming the body's microbiome, a thriving community that assists in breaking down certain fibers and producing vitamins such as vitamin K and some B vitamins. These bacteria also play a crucial role in maintaining immune balance, reminding us that even within the body, life is a shared endeavor. The relationship between the human host and these microscopic residents is ancient and symbiotic, each benefiting from the presence of the other in quiet partnership. As the material passes through the colon, the body extracts what it can still use, leaving behind only what it no longer needs. The final portion of the digestive tract, the rectum, stores the waste until it is ready to be released through the anus, completing the cycle. In this act, as in every other, the body maintains its balance, taking what nourishes and letting go of what does not. It is a rhythm as old as life itself, as natural and necessary as breath. Yet digestion is more than the movement of food. It is a mirror of the body's relationship with its environment, a continuous exchange of energy between the self and the world. Every grain, fruit, or drop of water carries the sun's energy, stored through the growth of plants and the life of animals. When we eat, we inherit that energy, transforming it once more into motion, thought, and renewal. The digestive system, in this sense, is a bridge between life outside and life within, where the boundaries between the two dissolve. Through it, we are sustained not only by the food we eat, but by the cycles of nature that produced it. The process of digestion is governed by a delicate interplay of nerves and hormones. The nervous system coordinates muscle contractions that move food along the tract, while hormones released by the stomach, pancreas, and intestines regulate the secretion of enzymes and acids. This coordination ensures that the process unfolds in harmony, neither rushed nor delayed, but perfectly timed to the body's needs. Even emotional states can influence digestion. Stress may slow or disturb it, while calm and relaxation support it. Thus, the digestive system reflects the inner condition of the person, responding quietly to thoughts and feelings as much as to nourishment itself. When we think of digestion in this broader sense, it becomes a story of transformation, of the way life continually renews itself through exchange. Every meal becomes an act of connection, every breath a continuation of the same process. Within the dark, quiet chambers of the digestive tract, chemistry gives rise to energy, and energy to life. It is a process so constant, so fundamental, that it often escapes awareness. Yet without it, no movement, no thought, no heartbeat could continue. The digestive system, in its patient and rhythmic work, embodies the art of balance. It teaches that nourishment is not simply about taking in, but about transforming and releasing, about giving as much as receiving. Each organ, each enzyme, each quiet contraction contributes to the harmony that sustains us. To imagine it is to picture a river of change, food entering as matter, leaving as energy, and life continuing through the endless flow. It is the story of the body's intimate relationship with the earth, told not through words but through the silent wisdom of the body's design. 14. The urinary system, vertical bar, purity and regulation. Within the intricate harmony of the human body, balance is a constant pursuit. Every heartbeat, every breath, and every drop of fluid works in quiet cooperation to maintain stability. Among the many systems that serve this delicate equilibrium, the urinary system plays one of the most essential and understated roles. It is the body's purification network, filtering the blood with precision, removing waste, and regulating the composition of fluids that sustain every cell. Though its work is silent and unseen, it embodies the essence of purity and control, a guardian of internal order that operates tirelessly from moment to moment. The urinary system begins its task deep within the abdomen, where two kidneys rest on either side of the spine, just below the rib cage. Each kidney is shaped like a smooth, curved bean, small enough to fit in the palm of the hand, yet powerful enough to process around 180 liters of blood-derived fluid every day. Through this constant filtration, the kidneys maintain the body's internal chemistry, balancing water, salts, acids, and minerals, while removing the byproducts of metabolism. It is a work of remarkable detail, carried out by structures so fine and complex that they resemble living lace. Within each kidney lie about 1 million microscopic units called nephrons, the true engines of purification. Each nephron begins with a small cluster of capillaries known as the glomerulus, encased in a cup-shaped structure called Bowman's capsule. Here, the process of filtration begins. As blood flows through the glomerulus, pressure forces water and small dissolved substances, such as glucose, ions, and urea, out of the blood and into the capsule, forming a clear fluid known as filtrate. Larger molecules, like proteins and blood cells, remain behind, continuing their journey through the bloodstream. This selective filtering process is the first act of refinement, separating what must be kept from what must be removed. From the capsule, the filtrate moves into a winding series of tubules: the proximal tubule, loop of Henle, distal tubule, and collecting duct. Along this path, the fluid is transformed again and again, as the nephron reclaims what the body needs and discards what it does not. In the proximal tubule, essential nutrients like glucose and amino acids are reabsorbed into the blood, along with much of the water. As the filtrate travels through the loop of Henle, the concentration of salts and water is carefully adjusted, creating a balance that helps regulate the body's fluid levels. By the time the fluid reaches the collecting duct, it has become urine, a precise mixture of water, salts, and metabolic waste, ready to leave the body. The kidneys do not merely cleanse, they also communicate with the rest of the body through hormones that control blood pressure, red blood cell production, and calcium balance. When blood pressure falls, the kidneys release renin, an enzyme that triggers a cascade of reactions to constrict blood vessels and restore proper flow. They also produce erythropoietin, a hormone that stimulates the bone marrow to create new red blood cells, ensuring that oxygen continues to reach every tissue. Through the activation of vitamin D, the kidneys help regulate calcium absorption, strengthening bones, and maintaining the electrical signals that allow muscles and nerves to function. In these ways, the kidneys are not just filters but intelligent regulators, organs of quiet judgment that sense, decide, and act in harmony with the needs of the whole. Once urine is formed, it flows from the kidneys through slender tubes called ureters, which carry it down to the urinary bladder. These tubes are lined with smooth muscle that contracts rhythmically, pushing the fluid downward through a gentle peristaltic motion. The ureters enter the bladder at an angle that prevents backflow, ensuring that urine moves in only one direction. The bladder itself is a hollow, muscular organ that serves as a reservoir, capable of holding several hundred milliliters of urine. Its walls stretch easily as it fills, and receptors within the lining send signals to the brain when it is time to empty. The act of urination, though simple in experience, is a finely coordinated event involving both voluntary and involuntary control. As the bladder fills, its muscular walls remain relaxed, while a ring of muscle called the internal sphincter stays closed. When the urge to urinate arises, the brain sends signals to the bladder to contract and to the sphincters to relax, allowing the release of urine through the urethra. This cooperation between conscious and unconscious control reflects the body's elegance. Even in the simplest acts, there is perfect coordination between will and instinct. The urinary system also plays a critical role in maintaining the balance of electrolytes, the charged particles of sodium, potassium, calcium, and chloride that are vital for nerve transmission and muscle contraction. When the body's salt levels fluctuate, the kidneys respond immediately, adjusting how much is excreted or retained. This ability to fine-tune the body's chemistry ensures that the heart continues to beat steadily, the muscles move fluidly, and the nervous system functions with precision. Water balance, too, depends on this regulation. When fluid intake is low, the brain releases antidiuretic hormone, prompting the kidneys to conserve water by producing more concentrated urine. When water is abundant, the hormone's effect lessens, and the kidneys release excess fluid. Through this quiet exchange, the urinary system helps preserve the constancy that defines health, a concept known as homeostasis. Waste removal is one of the body's most fundamental needs, for life itself produces byproducts that must be cleared to make way for renewal. Urea, one of the primary wastes excreted by the kidneys, is produced in the liver as proteins are broken down. Creatinine, another waste, results from the natural turnover of muscle tissue. Without the continuous filtration of the kidneys, these substances would accumulate in the blood, disturbing the body's chemistry and eventually endangering life. Yet the kidneys perform this cleansing not with violence but with balance, removing precisely what is unnecessary while preserving everything vital. The relationship between the urinary system and other organs is profound. The cardiovascular system delivers blood to be filtered, while the endocrine system provides hormones that regulate kidney function. The nervous system ensures that urination occurs at the right time and in the right setting. Even the digestive system plays a role, supplying the nutrients and fluids that influence urine composition. Each system contributes to the quiet dialogue that keeps the body pure and balanced. Beyond its physical function, the urinary system reflects a deeper principle: the importance of letting go. Just as the kidneys remove the wastes that no longer serve the body, so too must the organism release what it no longer needs to maintain health and clarity. In this way, the physiology of purification mirrors the psychology of renewal. Both depend on the same gentle truth, that balance is found not by holding on, but by allowing release. The kidneys are also remarkable for their resilience. Even when one is lost or damaged, the other can often take on most of the work, increasing its capacity and maintaining equilibrium for years. This adaptability speaks to the body's quiet wisdom. its ability to preserve life through cooperation and adjustment. Each organ, each cell, contributes not through dominance but through service, fulfilling its role so the whole may continue in harmony. As the body rests at night, the kidneys remain awake, filtering the blood, restoring balance, and preparing the body for another day. Their rhythm never ceases, their precision never wavers. Through their endless cycle of cleansing and renewal, the body maintains its internal purity, its steady flow of vitality. To contemplate the urinary system is to glimpse the poetry of balance, the gentle flow of water and chemistry, the unending dialogue between removal and preservation. It teaches that life depends not only on what we take in but also on what we release. In every drop of filtered fluid, there is the story of transformation of the body's quiet devotion to harmony. The urinary system, in its patience and purity, stands as a reminder that even the smallest processes can embody the deepest wisdom, that through letting go, life continues in clarity and calm. 15. The integumentary system, vertical bar, the skin we live within all. Living beings exist within a boundary, a surface that separates the inner world from the outer one. For humans, that boundary is the skin, a living envelope that protects, senses, and communicates silently with the world around it. It is both armor and canvas, both shield and instrument of touch. The integumentary system, composed of the skin, hair, nails, and glands, is the body's first line of defense and its most visible expression of life. It is at once strong and delicate, enduring and sensitive, a remarkable design that holds the body together while connecting it gently to its environment. The skin is the largest organ of the human body, covering an area of nearly 2 square meters in an adult and accounting for about 1/6 of total body weight. Though it appears simple from the outside, it is a complex and dynamic structure composed of 3 main layers: the epidermis, the dermis, and the subcutaneous tissue beneath. Each layer performs its role in harmony with the others, creating a continuous surface that breathes, heals, and renews itself throughout life. The outermost layer, the epidermis, forms the visible surface, a living barrier that renews itself completely every few weeks. Beneath it lies the dermis, dense with connective tissue, blood vessels, and nerves. Deeper still, the subcutaneous layer cushions and insulates, anchoring the skin to the structures below. Together, these layers create a fabric of life that protects without imprisoning, flexible yet steadfast, resilient yet alive. At the surface, the epidermis is composed mostly of cells called keratinocytes, which produce keratin, a tough, water-resistant protein. These cells are born in the deeper layers of the epidermis and gradually move upward as they mature. During this slow migration, they flatten and harden, eventually forming the stratum corneum, the outermost layer of dead but protective cells. These cells flake away continually, replaced by new ones from below, a gentle cycle of renewal that never ceases. This renewal gives the skin its durability and its ability to heal. A small cut or scrape initiates a cascade of repair, as new cells divide and migrate to close the wound, while deeper tissues regenerate in quiet cooperation. Beneath the keratinocytes lie specialized cells that add depth and complexity to the skin's function. Melanocytes produce melanin, the pigment that gives skin its color and protects it from the sun's ultraviolet rays. Langerhans cells act as sentinels, identifying foreign substances and alerting the immune system when necessary. Even within its thin layers, the skin is alive with vigilance and adaptation. The dermis, lying just beneath the epidermis, is a landscape of strength and sensation. It is composed primarily of connective tissue made of collagen and elastin fibers, which give the skin its firmness and flexibility. Within this layer flow networks of blood vessels that nourish the skin's cells and help regulate temperature. When the body becomes warm, the vessels widen, allowing more blood to flow near the surface and release heat. When cold, they constrict to preserve warmth. This simple mechanism allows the body to maintain equilibrium with its surroundings. A quiet dialogue between inner and outer environments. Interwoven with these vessels are the nerves of sensation, ending in receptors that detect touch, pressure, vibration, pain, and temperature. Through them, the skin becomes an instrument of awareness. Every brush of fabric, every change in temperature, every gentle contact is perceived and translated into sensation, connecting the body to the physical world with astonishing precision. Also embedded within the dermis are glands that support the skin's health and maintain its protective functions. The sebaceous glands secrete sebum, an oily substance that keeps the skin supple and prevents dryness. Sweat glands, on the other hand, excrete water and salts through small pores, aiding in temperature control and the removal of minor wastes. There are two main types of sweat glands: eccrine glands, which are distributed across most of the body and respond primarily to heat, and apocrine glands, found in specific regions such as the underarms and scalp, which become active during stress or emotion. The fine balance between these secretions keeps the skin soft, cool, and resilient, maintaining the harmony that allows the body to thrive in changing conditions. Beneath the dermis lies the subcutaneous tissue, a layer of fat and connective fibers that cushions the body from impact and insulates it against cold. This layer also serves as an energy reserve, storing fat that can be used when needed. The subcutaneous tissue binds the skin to the muscles and bones below, allowing the surface to move and flex without tearing. It is here that the skin's unseen strength resides, not in rigidity, but in its capacity to bend, absorb, and adapt. The integumentary system is not limited to the skin alone. Hair and nails, though composed of hardened keratin, are part of the same design. Each strand of hair grows from a follicle rooted deep within the dermis, nourished by blood vessels and surrounded by tiny muscles that respond to cold or emotion, causing the hair to stand erect. Hair serves both protective and sensory functions. It shields the scalp from sunlight, reduces friction, and enhances the sense of touch by amplifying vibrations in the air. Eyelashes guard the eyes, while fine body hairs sense the faintest movement across the surface. Nails, growing from specialized epidermal cells at the tips of fingers and toes, protect these delicate areas and provide precision in touch and grasp. They are extensions of the skin's purpose, tools of interaction and expression that continue its work at the body's edges. Beneath its functional roles, the skin also serves as a mirror of health and emotion. Its color may change with circulation, pale in fear, flushed in warmth, or glowing with vitality. Its texture and appearance reflect hydration, nutrition, and care. It is sensitive to the mind's influence as well. Stress can trigger outbreaks or dryness, while calm and balance often bring clarity and softness. The connection between inner state and outer surface is a reminder that the body and mind are not separate, but interwoven through every layer of being. It responds to touch, one of the earliest and most profound forms of human connection. A gentle hand on the shoulder, the warmth of an embrace, or the softness of a breeze can all evoke deep emotional responses. Through touch, the skin becomes not only a protective covering, but a language of comfort and trust. It is the medium through which love, safety, and empathy are often expressed without words. In this way, the integumentary system is both barrier and bridge guarding the self, while allowing connection with others. The process of aging brings quiet changes to the skin's structure and function. The production of collagen slows, elasticity diminishes, and the skin becomes thinner and more delicate. Hair may lose color and density, nails may grow more slowly, and the skin's ability to repair itself gradually declines. Yet even in these changes, there is beauty, a record of life, written in texture and tone. a visible map of time and experience. The skin continues its essential duties faithfully, preserving the body's integrity and maintaining the rhythm of renewal. The integumentary system, in all its complexity, is a testament to the body's design, a living barrier that protects without isolating, renews without rest, and senses without effort. It reminds us that protection need not mean hardness, that strength can be soft, and that awareness begins with touch. Every pore, every hair, every gentle pulse of blood beneath the surface contributes to the quiet symphony of life playing within us. To reflect on the skin is to recognize the unity between the inner and outer worlds. Through it, we feel the warmth of sunlight, the coolness of air, and the comfort of contact. It is both the edge of the body and the meeting point with the universe beyond. The integumentary system, humble and ever-present, teaches us that life's boundaries are not walls but thresholds, places where exchange and connection create harmony. The skin we live within is more than a covering. It is a living reflection of balance, resilience, and grace. 16. The reproductive system, vertical bar, the continuity of life. All life carries within it the quiet impulse to continue, a timeless rhythm that connects every living being across generations. In the human body, this rhythm finds its expression through the reproductive system, the network of organs, glands, and processes that allow new life to emerge. It is a system not only of creation but of renewal, ensuring that the story of humanity never ends with a single individual. While the heart keeps time and the lungs sustain breath, the reproductive system holds the deeper rhythm of continuity, the passing of life's essence from one generation to the next. The reproductive system is unique among all others because it is not required for the survival of the individual but for the survival of the species. Its design balances sensitivity and strength, chemistry and emotion, structure and purpose. Though different in form between males and females, the systems share a common goal to create and nurture new life. Both depend on intricate coordination between hormones, organs, and cells, all guided by a precise and ancient intelligence that operates quietly within us. In the male body, the process begins in the testes, two oval-shaped organs housed within the scrotum, a protective sac that hangs outside the body to maintain a temperature slightly cooler than the core. This difference in temperature is vital, for within the testes are the seminiferous tubules, delicate coils where sperm cells are produced. Each day, millions of sperm develop through a process known as spermatogenesis, transforming from simple precursor cells into highly specialized carriers of genetic material. Each sperm cell is remarkably small yet purposeful, containing only half of the genetic code required to create life. The developing sperm are nourished and supported by surrounding cells and hormones. Chief among these hormones is testosterone, produced by the Leydig cells in the testes. Testosterone guides the formation of male characteristics such as muscle growth, facial hair, and a deepened voice. But its most enduring role is in maintaining fertility and reproductive health. From the testes, sperm move into a long, coiled structure called the epididymis, where they mature and are stored until release. During ejaculation, they travel through the vas deferens, a narrow tube that connects to the urethra. Along this path, they are joined by fluids from the seminal vesicles, the prostate gland, and the bulbourethral glands. These secretions combine to form semen, a nourishing, protective medium that allows sperm to survive and move efficiently. The journey of these microscopic cells represents the potential of new beginnings, carried forward through the quiet work of the body. In the female body, the process of creation unfolds with equal precision and grace. The ovaries, small almond-shaped organs located on either side of the uterus, serve as both the source of eggs and producers of vital hormones. Each ovary contains thousands of follicles, each holding an immature egg cell. From the onset of puberty until menopause, the ovaries follow a monthly cycle, releasing one mature egg in a process called ovulation. The hormones, estrogen and progesterone, produced by the ovaries, regulate this rhythm. Estrogen prepares the body by thickening the lining of the uterus, while progesterone maintains that lining in readiness for the possibility of implantation. Together, these hormones orchestrate a monthly cycle of renewal, preparation, possibility, and rest, mirroring the gentle cycles found throughout nature. When an egg is released, it is captured by the fimbriae, delicate finger-like extensions of the fallopian tubes, and drawn inside. The egg then begins its slow journey toward the uterus, moving through the tube by gentle muscular contractions and the motion of tiny cilia. If sperm are present within the reproductive tract, one may meet the egg in this narrow passage, where fertilization can occur. The meeting of these two cells, one from the male, one from the female, marks the beginning of a new life. The genetic material from both merges to form a zygote, a single cell containing all the instructions necessary to build an entirely new human being. This cell begins dividing almost immediately, continuing its journey toward the uterus, where it may implant into the nourishing wall and begin to grow. The uterus, or womb, is one of the most remarkable organs in the human body. It is a muscular chamber designed to expand and protect new life as it develops. Its lining, the endometrium, thickens each month in anticipation of an embryo. If fertilization does not occur, the lining is shed through menstruation, and the cycle begins anew. This rhythmic pattern, preparation, release, renewal, continues through decades of life, a steady reflection of the body's natural harmony. When conception does occur, the uterus becomes a place of transformation. It provides oxygen, nutrients, and protection to the developing embryo, which gradually becomes a fetus, sustained through the umbilical cord, connected to the placenta. Within this quiet space, new life unfolds, cell by cell, organ by organ, guided by an invisible intelligence encoded in the very fabric of existence. The female body also undergoes profound changes to support this creation. Hormones rise and fall, the heart pumps more vigorously, the lungs expand with deeper breath, and the muscles and ligaments adapt to accommodate growth. Each change is purposeful, preparing both body and spirit for birth. The culmination of this process, the emergence of new life, is both physical and transcendent, a moment that reflects the continuity of all living things. After birth, the female body continues its role in nurturing life. The mammary glands, located within the breasts, produce milk under the influence of the hormone prolactin. This milk provides nourishment, immunity, and comfort for the newborn, sustaining the fragile beginnings of life outside the womb. The act of feeding also releases oxytocin, a hormone that strengthens the bond between mother and child, linking the physiology of care with the emotion of love. In this gentle connection, biology and affection merge seamlessly, reflecting nature's deep understanding of balance. Beyond the mechanics of reproduction lies its greater purpose, the continuation of life's story. Each generation carries within it not only the physical traits of those before, but also the subtle echoes of their experiences, emotions, and wisdom. The reproductive system is not merely an organ network. It is a vessel for continuity, a bridge between past and future. It reminds us that life, though individual in form, is collective in essence, that within each new beginning resides the memory of countless others. The reproductive system also plays an essential role in shaping identity and emotion. The hormones it produces influence mood, energy, and desire, weaving together physical and emotional well-being. These rhythms are deeply personal, yet universally shared. The cycles of fertility, pregnancy, and aging each carry their own lessons of change, renewal, and acceptance. They teach that growth is inseparable from transformation, and that the body's natural cycles mirror the patterns of the wider world. the waxing and waning of the moon, the turning of seasons, the rise and fall of tides. In time, as reproductive activity wanes, another kind of balance emerges. For women, menopause marks the completion of the reproductive cycle, a gentle transition into a new phase of life. For men, hormone levels gradually shift, bringing subtle changes in strength, energy, and emotion. These transitions are not endings, but continuations, reflections of the body's ability to evolve with age. The reproductive system, having fulfilled its purpose of continuity, quiets, yet its influence remains, woven into every cell, every heartbeat, every memory. To contemplate the reproductive system is to contemplate life itself. It is a design of beauty and mystery, of complexity and simplicity. It is the thread that connects generations, the vessel through which the world renews itself endlessly. Within its quiet workings lies the profound truth that life is not static but ever-flowing, a continuum of beginnings and transformations, shaped by love, by nature, and by time. The reproductive system, in its gentle rhythm, reminds us that existence is not only about survival, but about connection, the unbroken flow of life through all living things, carried forward by the delicate and enduring power of creation. 17. The sensory system's vertical bar: touch, taste, sight, sound, and smell. Life is experienced through sensation, the soft language through which the world speaks to us. Every color, sound, texture, fragrance, and flavor we encounter passes through a delicate network of perception that transforms physical energy into awareness. This is the work of the sensory systems, the body's gateways to the external world. They are the eyes, ears, skin, tongue, and nose, each finely tuned to capture a particular form of stimulus. Yet beyond their individual roles lies a deeper unity. Together, they weave the fabric of experience, blending sight, sound, and feeling into the seamless tapestry of living. The senses are both windows and mirrors, windows through which the world enters us, and mirrors through which we come to understand our place within it. The first and most encompassing of the senses is touch, the oldest and most universal. Before we see or hear, we feel. The skin, stretching over the entire body, serves as a vast field of sensory awareness. Within it lie countless receptors, each designed to respond to pressure, vibration, temperature, or pain. Some sit near the surface, sensitive to the lightest brush of air, while others lie deeper, detecting firmness or stretch. These receptors send their messages through nerves to the spinal cord and onward to the brain, where touch is interpreted into sensation. A soft breeze on the arm, the warmth of sunlight, the coolness of water, each arises from this quiet system of translation. Touch grounds us in the present, reminding us of our physical connection to the world. It is through touch that a child first learns comfort and safety, and through it that emotion often finds its most direct expression in an embrace, a hand held, a reassuring gesture. The sense of taste, though confined to the mouth, holds a profound role in our relationship with nourishment and pleasure. Tiny structures called taste buds, found on the tongue and other parts of the mouth, house sensory cells that detect 5 primary tastes: sweet, sour, salty, bitter, and umami, the savory taste of proteins. Each taste represents a kind of biological wisdom, guiding us toward what sustains and away from what may harm. Sweetness signals energy-rich sugars, salt indicates essential minerals, and umami points to the presence of protein. Bitterness and sourness, in contrast, often warn of potential toxins or spoilage. Yet within this system of survival lies the artistry of flavor, born not only from taste but also from the integration of smell, texture, and temperature. When food is eaten, Aroma molecules travel upward from the mouth to the nose, blending taste and scent into a single experience. Thus, flavor becomes more than chemistry. It becomes memory, comfort, and culture, a sensory bridge between nourishment and emotion. Sight, perhaps the most celebrated of the senses, transforms light into perception. The eyes are intricate instruments, capturing patterns of energy that the brain converts into the vivid world we see. Each eye is a small sphere of layered tissue, its outermost surface the cornea bending incoming light through a clear window. Behind it lies the iris, the colored ring that adjusts the size of the pupil, controlling how much light enters. Light then passes through the crystalline lens, which fine-tunes focus, directing the rays onto the retina at the back of the eye. Here, millions of photoreceptor cells called rods and cones convert light into electrical signals. Rods, sensitive to dim light, allow us to see in darkness, while cones, concentrated in the retina's center, detect color and fine detail. Signals travel through the optic nerve to the brain's visual cortex, where they are processed and interpreted into shapes, motion, and depth. Sight is not merely the recording of images, but the creation of meaning. The brain assembles fragments of light into the perception of form and color, weaving together the past and present to interpret what is seen. We do not simply observe, we understand. Through sight, we navigate space, recognize faces, read expressions, and marvel at the beauty of the world, the glow of dawn, the green of leaves, the shimmer of water beneath sunlight. Yet even sight depends on harmony with other senses. Touch confirms shape, sound gives context, and smell provides memory. Vision alone is clarity. Vision joined with the other senses becomes life itself. Hearing, too, is a wonder of transformation. Sound begins as vibration waves moving through air, water, or solid matter. When these waves reach the ear, they set into motion one of the body's most intricate mechanisms. The outer ear, with its curved shape, gathers and channels sound waves through the ear canal, toward the eardrum, a thin membrane that vibrates in response. Behind it, in the middle ear, three tiny bones, the malleus, incus, and stapes, named for their resemblance to a hammer, anvil, and stirrup, amplify these vibrations and transmit them to the inner ear. There, in the spiral-shaped cochlea, filled with fluid, thousands of hair cells bend with the motion of the waves. Each hair cell converts mechanical energy into electrical impulses, which travel along the auditory nerve to the brain. Within moments, vibration becomes sound, a voice, a note, a rustle of leaves. Hearing connects us to time and to each other. Through it, we perceive rhythm and tone, the rise and fall of language, and the subtleties of emotion carried in a whisper or a song. It orients us within our surroundings, warning of danger and guiding us through space, even with eyes closed. Beyond its practical purpose, hearing is deeply emotional. Music can calm or awaken. Voices can comfort or inspire. In sound, we experience the invisible, feeling its vibration resonate not only in the ear but throughout the body. The sense of smell, though often overlooked, is perhaps the most ancient and evocative. It begins in the nose, where molecules from the air dissolve in a thin layer of mucus and bind to receptors in the olfactory epithelium. These receptors, located high within the nasal cavity, are connected directly to the brain's limbic system, the region associated with memory and emotion. Because of this connection, scent has a unique power to recall the past with immediacy. A familiar fragrance can bring forth a forgotten moment, a person, a place, as if time itself folds in upon the present. Smell also plays a crucial role in taste, amplifying flavor and guiding appetite. It alerts us to danger through the detection of smoke or spoilage, yet it also enriches life's subtler pleasures. The scent of rain on earth, of wood smoke in autumn, of flowers unfolding at dawn. Each sense has its own pathway, yet the brain does not treat them as separate. It blends them, layering information into unified perception. When we eat, we not only taste but smell, see, and feel. When we watch the sea, we hear its rhythm and feel its breeze. This integration, called sensory fusion, creates the wholeness of experience. Even balance, the silent sense that allows us to stand upright and move with grace, arises from the cooperation of the inner ear, eyes, muscles, and nerves. Together, the senses form a single symphony of awareness, each contributing its note to the melody of perception. The sensory systems are not static. They adapt and change throughout life. Infants explore the world through touch and taste, learning its textures and warmth. As we grow, vision and hearing refine our understanding, shaping how we interact with the world. In later years, these senses may soften, becoming quieter, but they never lose their essence. Even when sight dims or hearing fades, touch and smell remain vivid, carrying connection and memory. The senses evolve, yet their purpose endures: to connect us, to inform us, and to remind us of the beauty in being alive. Through the senses, the human body translates the language of the universe into the language of experience. Light becomes sight, vibration becomes sound, molecules become fragrance and flavor, and contact becomes touch. These transformations are constant, seamless, and miraculous. They allow us not only to perceive but to feel wonder, to find meaning in every color, every sound, every breath of air. To contemplate the sensory systems is to recognize how life is not simply lived but perceived, shaped by the interplay of body and world. The senses teach us that awareness is participation, that every act of perception is also an act of connection. In their quiet precision, they reveal the unity between the inner and outer worlds. Through them, the human being does not merely exist within nature but becomes part of its living expression. The sensory systems, in their harmony and sensitivity, remind us that to sense is to live, and to live is to be endlessly connected to the world that surrounds us. 18. Regulation and homeostasis, vertical bar balance and motion. Within every heartbeat, every breath, and every drop of blood, there exists a quiet intelligence, an unseen harmony that sustains the living body. This harmony is known as homeostasis, the continual balancing act that allows life to persist despite the changing world around it. Every organ, cell, and molecule contributes to this equilibrium, adjusting constantly to keep temperature, chemistry, and pressure within narrow limits. Homeostasis is not stillness but motion, a graceful dance of regulation that unfolds every moment of every day. It is the body's ability to remain steady while moving, constant while changing, alive while adapting. The human body exists in an environment that is always shifting: cold or warmth, light or darkness, hunger or satiety, rest or exertion. Yet within, it maintains a remarkable constancy. The temperature remains near 37 degrees Celsius, the blood pH hovers close to neutral, and the concentration of salts, water, and nutrients stays within a range that supports life. This delicate stability is achieved through countless feedback loops, small mechanisms of detection and correction that respond instantly to disturbance. They function silently, without command or awareness, adjusting the body's internal landscape in ways both subtle and profound. At the center of this balancing system is communication, the continual conversation between the nervous system and the endocrine system. The nervous system provides rapid, moment-to-moment control through electrical impulses, while the endocrine system acts more slowly, using hormones that circulate through the bloodstream. Together, they monitor every condition within the body and coordinate responses to maintain equilibrium. If the temperature rises, the nervous system signals the sweat glands to release moisture, cooling the skin. If it falls, blood vessels constrict and muscles generate heat through shivering. If blood sugar drops, hormones trigger the release of glucose from storage. If it rises, insulin ensures its gentle return to balance. These adjustments are constant, seamless, and vital. The concept of feedback is central to understanding homeostasis. Most processes in the body rely on negative feedback loops, mechanisms that counteract change by initiating a response in the opposite direction. When body temperature increases, for instance, sensors in the skin and brain detect the rise and signal cooling responses. When the temperature returns to normal, these signals fade, preventing overcorrection. This self-regulating pattern creates stability through motion, much like a pendulum that finds stillness through continuous movement. Positive feedback loops, though less common, also play important roles. Unlike negative feedback, which restores balance, positive feedback amplifies a process until it reaches completion. The contractions of childbirth, for example, intensify until delivery is achieved, after which balance is naturally restored. Even within these temporary surges, the body's wisdom ensures that activity eventually returns to calm. Temperature regulation offers one of the most elegant examples of homeostasis in action. The hypothalamus, a small region deep within the brain, serves as the body's thermostat. It receives input from sensors throughout the body and adjusts heat production and loss accordingly. When we become too warm, the hypothalamus triggers sweating and dilation of skin blood vessels, allowing heat to escape. When cold, it constricts those same vessels and prompts shivering to generate warmth. The process is constant yet effortless, maintaining a steady internal climate regardless of the surrounding air. Through this mechanism, the body demonstrates how balance is achieved not through rigidity, but through flexibility, an ongoing, fluid adaptation to change. The regulation of fluids and electrolytes provides another example of this exquisite control. The human body is composed largely of water, distributed carefully among cells, tissues, and blood. The kidneys, under the influence of hormones like antidiuretic hormone and aldosterone, adjust how much water and salt are excreted or conserved. When dehydration threatens, the brain senses the concentration of salts in the blood and releases antidiuretic hormone, prompting the kidneys to reabsorb water. Thirst follows, ensuring replenishment. When water intake exceeds need, the hormone's influence wanes, and excess fluid is released. The balance between intake and output, maintained through such communication, ensures that every cell remains properly hydrated, every vessel properly filled, every chemical reaction properly supported. Blood sugar regulation illustrates yet another layer of homeostatic harmony. Glucose is the body's primary source of energy, and its level in the blood must remain steady for the brain and muscles to function efficiently. When blood sugar rises after eating, the pancreas releases insulin, which encourages cells to absorb glucose and store it as glycogen. When sugar levels fall, another hormone, glucagon, signals the liver to release stored glucose back into circulation. These two forces, insulin and glucagon, act as quiet partners, maintaining balance through their opposing yet complementary actions. Their interplay demonstrates how stability often arises from the relationship between opposites, between giving and taking, storing and releasing, rest and motion. The maintenance of pH balance is equally crucial, for the body's chemical reactions depend on a stable environment. The blood's pH must remain within a narrow range, and any deviation can disturb the function of enzymes and cells. The respiratory and renal systems work together to maintain this harmony. When acidity increases, the lungs exhale carbon dioxide more rapidly, reducing acid levels. The kidneys, slower but more enduring in their action, excrete hydrogen ions and conserve bicarbonate, restoring equilibrium. These subtle corrections occur continually, unnoticed yet indispensable, preserving the delicate chemistry upon which life depends. Even the cardiovascular system participates in the dialogue of homeostasis. Baroreceptors, pressure-sensitive cells in the arteries, detect changes in blood pressure and send signals to the brainstem. If pressure falls, the heart rate increases, and blood vessels constrict to restore flow. If pressure rises, the opposite occurs. This reflex operates constantly, maintaining circulation through shifting conditions. In moments of fear or exertion, when adrenaline surges, the body temporarily increases heart rate and blood pressure, channeling energy where it is needed most. When the moment passes, parasympathetic signals restore calm. The heart, lungs, and vessels all move in synchrony, responding as one to the body's shifting needs. Beyond chemistry and physiology, homeostasis also extends to the emotional and psychological realms. The brain's stress response, for instance, is designed to protect, but must also resolve to restore balance. When danger is perceived, hormones like cortisol and adrenaline prepare the body for action. The heart quickens, muscles tense, and awareness sharpens. Yet after the challenge subsides, other systems work to bring the body back to peace. The parasympathetic nervous system slows the heartbeat, relaxes muscles, and restores digestion. This ability to recover, to return to stillness after motion, is as vital to health as the initial surge of energy. In this way, homeostasis reflects not only biological balance but emotional resilience, the capacity to move between tension and calm without losing one's center. Homeostasis is a universal principle, not confined to humans alone. It is found in every living organism, from the simplest bacteria maintaining internal chemistry to the largest animals regulating body temperature and hydration. It is the thread that connects all life, the silent intelligence that allows living systems to endure in a world of constant change. Even ecosystems mirror this principle, balancing populations, resources, and energy across vast scales. The same harmony that governs a cell's chemistry shapes the rhythm of oceans, forests, and skies. To reflect on homeostasis is to recognize that balance is not a static condition, but a living process. The body is never truly at rest, for within stillness lies movement, the pulse of regulation, the breath of adjustment. It is a dance that continues without awareness, a testament to the body's wisdom and adaptability. Each fluctuation, each correction, contributes to the greater harmony that sustains life. Within this quiet constancy lies a lesson about existence itself. Balance is not achieved through resistance but through response, not through perfection but through adaptation. The body's regulation teaches that life's stability depends on flexibility, that order arises from motion, and that harmony is born from change. Homeostasis, the perpetual balancing act of being, reminds us that life is not about standing still, but about moving gracefully within the flow, forever adjusting, forever in motion, yet always in balance. 19. Growth, repair, and aging. Vertical bar, the passage of time in the body. From the first moments of existence, the human body begins a journey of transformation, a long and intricate passage from creation through change, renewal, and eventual rest. Within this unfolding, every cell, tissue, and organ participates in the quiet rhythm of growth and repair. From the earliest divisions of the embryo to the final slowing of the years, the body is never truly still. It builds, renews, and adapts in response to life's constant motion. Growth and aging are not opposites, but chapters in the same story. The continual shaping of life through time, guided by the body's deep intelligence and its enduring desire for balance. Growth begins at the smallest scale within a single fertilized cell, formed from the union of two. This one cell carries within it the complete instructions for building a human being. encoded in the strands of DNA that lie coiled in its nucleus. Through countless rounds of division, that single cell becomes many, differentiating into specialized types: nerve cells, muscle fibers, skin cells, and all the others that form the living body. Each cell knows its role, following chemical cues that guide it to its place within the greater whole. By the time of birth, the body contains trillions of cells, organized into tissues and organs that work in perfect coordination. Yet even then, growth is not complete. It continues quietly throughout childhood and adolescence, driven by hormones that stimulate the elongation of bones, the development of muscles, and the maturing of organs. During childhood, growth is steady and visible. Bones lengthen, teeth emerge, and the mind awakens to the expanding world. The growth hormone secreted by the pituitary gland plays a central role, influencing nearly every tissue in the body. The thyroid gland contributes as well, ensuring that energy metabolism supports development. Puberty marks another profound stage of transformation. As the reproductive organs mature and secondary characteristics emerge, these changes are guided by sex hormones, estrogen, progesterone, and testosterone, which shape both the body and behavior. The voice deepens, the body strengthens, and the patterns of adulthood begin to form. Growth during these years is not simply physical, it is also structural, emotional. The brain refines its connections, learning and adapting to the demands of life, preparing the individual for independence and complexity. Once maturity is reached, the balance of the body's processes shifts from growth to maintenance. The same systems that once built now focus on preservation and repair. Every day, millions of cells reach the end of their lifespan and are replaced. Skin renews itself within weeks, blood cells within months, and bone within years. Even in adulthood, the body is never the same from one moment to the next. It is in constant renewal, replacing what is worn with what is new. At the heart of this renewal lies the process of cellular repair. When damage occurs, whether from physical injury, chemical stress, or the simple wear of metabolism, cells respond with quiet efficiency. DNA repair mechanisms correct mutations, proteins are recycled, and tissues rebuild. The liver, remarkable in its resilience, can regenerate much of its mass after injury. The skin seals wounds, and bones knit themselves back together through the patient work of cells called osteoblasts. In these acts of self-restoration, the body shows its enduring capacity for healing, a reflection of nature's larger cycles of renewal. Yet every act of repair carries with it a trace of imperfection. Over time, small inefficiencies accumulate, and the processes of maintenance begin to slow. This gradual change is the essence of aging, not a sudden decline, but the gentle softening of the body's vigor. At the cellular level, aging is marked by the shortening of telomeres, the protective ends of chromosomes that wear down with each division. As telomeres shorten, cells lose their ability to divide and renew, entering a state of quiet rest known as senescence. The body adapts to these changes, reallocating resources to preserve essential functions. But the balance shifts toward conservation rather than expansion. The skin becomes thinner, the muscles less firm, the bones more fragile. Metabolism slows, and the senses grow softer, like a song fading gradually into stillness. The aging process is not uniform. It varies with genetics, environment, and lifestyle. Nutrition, movement, and emotional well-being all influence the pace at which time leaves its imprint. Regular physical activity maintains circulation and strengthens muscles. Balanced nutrition provides the materials needed for repair. Rest allows the body to recover and rebuild. Even the mind, through learning and curiosity, contributes to resilience, stimulating new connections among neurons and preserving mental vitality. The body and mind are partners in this ongoing journey, each influencing the other in ways subtle yet profound. While aging is inevitable, it is also purposeful. It represents not merely decline but transformation, the shifting of energy from growth toward reflection, from expansion toward wisdom. The body learns efficiency, adapting to do more with less, conserving strength for what matters most. Even as physical capacities change, deeper forms of balance emerge. The heart may beat more slowly, yet it carries decades of endurance. The breath may come more gently, yet it moves with ease, born of experience. The process of aging reveals the body's grace, its ability to adapt, to endure, and to find beauty in change. Within the cycle of life, growth and aging are intertwined with repair, for every renewal carries the memory of what came before. The immune system learns from each encounter, becoming wiser with time. Muscles strengthen when gently challenged and adapt to the rhythm of effort and rest. The bones themselves, though solid, are living tissue, constantly dissolving and reforming in response to the stresses of movement. This continuous exchange, this dialogue between building and wearing down, defines the living body. Even when visible growth ceases, microscopic renewal continues, a quiet reminder that life is always in motion. The mind, too, follows this rhythm. Neural pathways are strengthened through use and reshaped by experience. Memory and learning depend on plasticity, the brain's ability to reorganize itself, forming new connections in response to need. While some aspects of cognition may slow with age, others deepen. Emotional understanding, empathy, and wisdom often grow richer, shaped by the accumulation of experience. In this way, the aging of the brain reflects the maturity of the person, a refinement rather than a loss. Repair, growth, and aging together form a seamless continuum. They show that life is not a static condition but an unfolding process, one that balances creation with preservation, expansion with release. The young body builds, the mature body sustains, and the aging body transforms, each stage essential to the wholeness of existence. To grow is to express life's forward motion. To age is to honor its endurance. Ultimately, the body's ability to grow and heal reflects the larger rhythms of nature itself. Just as the seasons move from spring to winter, so does the body pass through its cycles, not in abrupt transitions, but in gradual, graceful flow. Spring's energy builds, summer's strength sustains, autumn's calm reflects, and winter's stillness restores. Each stage prepares the way for the next. Even as the body slows, the spirit continues its quiet work of renewal, finding balance in simplicity and depth in stillness. To contemplate growth, repair, and aging is to witness the poetry of time written within the flesh. The body is not a machine that wears out, but a living process that evolves, ever changing, ever adapting. Its strength lies not in resisting change, but in embracing it, in finding continuity within transformation. The passage of time through the body is the story of life itself, a story of creation, resilience, and release, unfolding softly in the rhythm of being. 20. Integration and harmony. Vertical bar. The body is one whole. From the smallest cell to the beating heart, from the soft rhythm of breath to the quiet spark of thought, the human body is not a collection of separate parts, but a unified whole. Every organ, every system, every function flows into the next, forming an intricate web of connection that sustains life with quiet perfection. Each structure performs its role not in isolation, but in concert with all others, creating a harmony that is both mechanical and poetic. This integration, the coordination of countless processes into one seamless existence, is what allows the body not merely to live, but to be alive in every sense of the word. The story of the human body is one of cooperation. Each system has its task, yet none could function alone. The respiratory system brings in oxygen, but it is the circulatory system that carries it to every cell. The digestive system breaks down nourishment, but only through the urinary systems, purification, and the endocrine system's regulation can the chemistry of life remain balanced. The nervous system interprets signals from the world, while the musculoskeletal system transforms them into motion. All of this unfolds under the quiet supervision of homeostasis, the principle that keeps every process in balance. It is as if the body were an orchestra, the organs, instruments, the systems, sections playing under the guidance of a conductor that is not a single entity but the intelligence of life itself. Communication lies at the heart of this integration. Within the body, messages travel constantly through nerves, hormones, and molecular signals, linking distant regions in a web of awareness. The nervous system carries electrical impulses that move at great speed, coordinating thought and motion in fractions of a second. The endocrine system, though slower, extends this coordination over time, sending hormonal messages through the bloodstream to maintain long-term stability. At every level, the cells themselves engage in dialogue, exchanging ions and chemicals, responding to the body's shifting needs. The skin senses the environment and sends information inward. The heart adjusts its rhythm to emotion. The brain interprets both external and internal worlds and harmonizes them into one coherent experience. This unity is not merely mechanical, it is expressive. The body's physical harmony mirrors the harmony of nature, just as rivers feed oceans, as winds circle the planet, as seasons move in endless rhythm. So too does the body move within cycles of activity and rest, intake and release, building and renewal. Each breath echoes the tides. Each heartbeat mirrors the pulse of the earth itself. The body is, in a sense, a microcosm of the natural world, reflecting its balance and its interconnectedness. Through this resonance, the human being is not separate from nature, but an extension of it, a living expression of the same universal order that governs stars, oceans, and forests. The integration of body and mind is another layer of this harmony. For centuries, they were viewed as distinct, one physical, the other intangible. Yet in truth, they are inseparable. Every thought has a physical signature, the release of neurotransmitters, the firing of neurons, the shifting of hormones. Likewise, every physical state influences emotion, hunger, fatigue, and breath all color the mind's experience. The endocrine system serves as a bridge between the two, translating emotion into bodily change and bodily state into emotion. When the heart quickens with excitement or slows in calm, when muscles soften in relief or tighten in fear, these are not separate from the mind's life, but extensions of it. The unity of body and consciousness forms the basis of human experience, a living partnership of matter and awareness. Movement provides one of the most tangible expressions of integration. Every step, gesture, or breath requires the combined effort of bones, muscles, joints, nerves, and senses. The musculoskeletal system provides structure and strength, but without the guidance of the nervous system, it would be still. The brain anticipates motion before it occurs, sending signals to muscles in perfect timing, adjusting posture through feedback from the eyes and inner ears. Even the act of reaching for an object involves coordination that spans the entire body vision, guiding the hand, balance, stabilizing the trunk, and proprioceptors in the muscles sending constant information back to the brain. These motions, though complex, unfold effortlessly, reflecting the profound intelligence that underlies the simplest of actions. The body also demonstrates harmony in its ability to heal. When one part suffers, the rest responds in unity. A cut on the skin triggers immune cells from distant regions. A broken bone calls upon minerals, proteins, and blood from throughout the body. The heart works harder to supply oxygen, while the endocrine system adjusts its chemistry to support recovery. The body's healing is not confined to one place. It is a communal effort, a reminder that every cell is part of a greater whole. Even the mind participates, as calm and hope influence the nervous and immune systems, promoting repair. Healing, in this way, is both physical and emotional, an act of integration between body and spirit. Emotion itself reveals how the systems intertwine. Joy, fear, love, and sorrow each leave their traces in the body's chemistry. Changes in heart rate, breathing, temperature, and muscle tone. Laughter relaxes muscles and lowers stress hormones. Grief tightens the chest and slows digestion. These responses are not separate from feeling but part of it, showing how experience is lived through every layer of being. The unity of emotion and physiology demonstrates that the body is not a vessel we inhabit but the living medium through which we experience life. Integration also defines our relationship with the world beyond the self. The senses bring the outer world inward, while movement expresses the inner world outward. Every interaction, a step upon the earth, a breath of air, a touch, a sound, is part of an unending exchange between the individual and the environment. The oxygen we inhale becomes part of our blood. The carbon dioxide we exhale nourishes plants. The food we eat transforms sunlight into our energy. We are not separate observers but participants in a vast ecological rhythm, each body a node in the web of existence. The balance that sustains the human body is the same balance that sustains the planet, the same interplay of giving and receiving, activity and rest, motion and stillness. To understand the body as one whole is to recognize that its harmony is both physical and spiritual. Beneath every process lies a quiet order, an intelligence that keeps time with the universe. The pulse of the heart, the rhythm of breath, the slow regeneration of cells, all move in cycles that echo the greater patterns of nature. Health, then, is not merely the absence of illness but the presence of harmony, when each system plays its part and the whole moves with ease. Illness, by contrast, is a temporary discord, a reminder that balance must be restored. Yet even in illness, the body strives for unity, seeking equilibrium through adaptation and healing. As the years unfold, the harmony of the body evolves. The energy of youth gives way to the steadiness of maturity and the gentleness of age. With time, the rhythms slow, but they do not cease. They deepen. The body learns efficiency, finding calm and balance, rather than intensity and effort. It moves more slowly but with greater wisdom, conserving energy, valuing stillness. This shift is not decline but transformation, a reminder that integration continues throughout life, reshaping itself to suit each stage of being. To contemplate the body's integration is to glimpse the profound truth that life is unity, that within complexity lies simplicity, and within motion lies peace. The body is not a machine of parts but a living harmony, each system tuned to the others, each process a note in the music of existence. Every heartbeat, every breath, every thought is part of the same symphony, a composition that began before birth and continues until the final rest. In the end, to live in harmony is to listen, to feel the rhythm of one's own body, and the rhythm of the world as one. The integration of the body mirrors the integration of life itself, where every element supports the others, and balance is born from movement. Within this harmony, the human being stands, not apart from nature but within it, a reflection of its order, its beauty, and its endless flow. The body, whole and unified, is both the vessel and the song of life, a living expression of the quiet perfection that sustains all things.